By the way, we didn't show the best angle. That 67-yarder at the end of the first half had the distance. It crossed when it was left, obviously, but it was above the crossbar when it got to the back of the end zone.
Really?
I think that thing's good if it's online.
Well,
and the irony is
he's got a leg. I don't know if that other one was good, by the way.
I didn't think it was. The booth, we in the booth, we all stepped back, looked at one another, and Joe looked at me, and I went like this. I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I noticed the pause. It's funny, now that you say that, there was a pretty good pause there.
Well, because there are times when he just looks straight at Russell, the ref, and usually Russell's fiddling with a replay and not looking at him. The funny thing is, like when it was Fox, it was Pereira. Pereira had an assistant, Roger. Roger did all the work. So Joe would look over at Pereira. Pereira would give him an answer. Right or wrong, Pereira would always give him an answer. Thumbs up, down, whatever. We look
pretty good here. Look at this. All right. I do like that no one comes in. I don't even know if they do Monday Night Football on this station anymore. I think they do, but I think it's all automated now.
Right.
Because when Church comes in, he messes with everything on the board. Every damn thing in here is different. Chris leaves it the same way, basically. I leave it because he doesn't use my buttons for our computer. So, and Church does, and I don't know why, but good gracious.
Paula, I can't believe of all the mornings we didn't
no
get
caps?
No caps? I
no
can't
caps?
believe it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Tuesday, where Monday Night Football delivered. I just have one question. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. The game was so good. I know you had to stay up, so you and I are both a little tired this morning. How are you?
I'm good. That was fun. That had a little bit of everything. It had spectacular plays on offense. It had some defense. It had some physicality. It had a little drama. That was fun. That
had a little onions.
Up for that. Oh yeah, it had a lot of onions.
Had a little onions.
It had a little, whether you like them grilled, raw, however you like your onions. It had some onions.
I mean, Bill Raftery was watching somewhere going, "That's right, Troy, onions."
That was wow. And with certain teams, you question before fourth down, and I know you up in the booth, hey, are they going to go for it? Are they not going to go for it? Ball's at midfield there. I don't think anybody in the booth, I don't think anybody across America watching ever thought for a minute there was any other play going to happen from Dan Campbell and the Lions, but they were going to go for it. Now, I didn't necessarily see the play that they called, going to Ahmad downfield for the first down, but there was never a doubt in my mind. And that, that to me was reminiscent all those years ago of that Patriot Colt game in which I'm not giving him the ball back. Yeah. I cannot give him the ball back at this point in the game.
If they get the ball back, they win.
You're damn right.
Yeah, Belichick went for it on his own, like 28.5, needing to get to the 30. They complete a pass, and it's still short of the 30. But, yes, 4th and 2 on his own 49 at the 2-minute warning there or thereabouts. And, yeah, no hesitation. How about the offensive coordinator for the Lions escaping Ben Johnson's shadow last night? I mean, with the trickeration down by the goal line on 4th and 1 and then the trickeration on the touchdown drive, okay, with the, Amon St. Brown throwing the pass downfield. I mean, all the stuff that Ben Johnson was known for, the offensive line, the three young guys in the middle. Oh, could they ever replace Ragnow and Zeitler and what have you? I don't know, 225 yards rushing, running straight at them.
Right. And, even if you take away the big run from Montgomery, which you don't do because that's the offensive line putting that hole up. But even if you take that out, the running performance is impressive.
Yeah, it's 153 yards rushing, even if you took out the big run. Right.
I do love the one thing. There are so many things, sometimes we complain about today's football that they don't hit enough or they don't do this enough. But there are certain things that technology inside the stadium gives the players that we never had before. Montgomery on that long run starts angling to the left to avoid the tackle. Why? Because he's looking up at the screen, seeing where the defenders are coming from behind. That's something that Tony Dorsett was never thinking while running for the Cowboys for 99 yards on Monday Night Football.
When Marcus Allen was running up through the middle of the then Redskins defense at the big sombrero and breaking clear in the Super Bowl, he couldn't admire his run for the final 50 yards. Right.
So that's just one of the new things that I get a kick out of. And you tell me, David, but the atmosphere looked terrific. They were into the game. And, I will say the one funny thing, and I think it's a lot of the reason those of us from Michigan know, I left a long time ago. We've moved, we've gone everywhere. Not that it was like the game at SoFi with either the Chargers or the Rams and their opposing fans, or I'm not even comparing it to the Pittsburghs of the world, but those Detroit fans are traveling now. They're out there in bunches at these games, but it really looked like a terrific atmosphere last night.
So a buddy of mine brought his teenage son, down to the game. It was like a 4-hour drive for him. And I got him tickets. And he's Vern's old spotter. He's now Iron Eagle spotter. His name's Butch. Great guy. And he said, "Hey, thanks. How about if I take you to lunch?" So he took me to Jimmy's Seafood, which I guess is one of the really well-known places here. And so, I did what, everybody from out of town does. I had a crab cake, started with that, and then, ordered around it. But as we walked in, and the place was hopping. A lot of Lions fans. I'm like, wow, look at this. And so you mentioned, the Lions fans traveled. They were not in large numbers, but they did. You could hear during commercial breaks, you could hear the Lions chants. Okay, the fans were obviously, hey, you travel that many miles, spend that kind of money, you're into it. And with it being a one-score game throughout until the very end, how could both fan bases not be into it? A lot of times I think by Monday night, a lot of us are footballed out, and we've commandeered the TV or TVs away from other members of the family. And it's kind of like, if we're going to watch Monday Night Football, and if so, I don't know how long. It's a work week. I'm going to go to bed. I think if you went to bed last night, it was because you were just flat tired and you fell asleep.
I do think part of the reason, obviously I'm a Lions fan. I'm not, it doesn't matter to me what happens, not like other people from Michigan. I never caught the bug that others did, but I do think part of it for just the football fan is that Sunday night was such a snoozer.
Yeah.
Sunday night, I went to bed at halftime. I'm like, I don't need to watch this. This isn't even enjoyable. This is bad football. So I do think when you get a bit of a dud on Sunday, and people were looking forward to that game. This was two teams that, you said it yesterday, both organizations feel that it's a Super Bowl or bust year.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that going into the game. So it's a measuring stick. I thought I heard Aikman's comments because I didn't listen to the post game. I went to bed the second the game was over. But I heard Aikman's comments on my drive in this morning that, there's 17 games, but some mean a little more than others. And that one, certainly for Detroit, we talked about it yesterday, the way that they were beat down 2 years ago by the Ravens and humiliated in Baltimore. So for and everybody's talking about the offensive line this morning. I have been very critical of the Lions defense this year. Last year, the injuries, couldn't do anything about it. But this year, it didn't look like it was that much better. And of any group, I've probably been the most critical of their linebackers. Their linebackers were terrific. I mean, able to contain Lamar the way that they did. He didn't break off a whole lot of long runs. And that's something I had not seen out of that group on the defense. So that I came away very impressed with how the defense played last night.
Well, after the opening drive, what impressed me was they stuffed Derrick Henry. After Henry and the Ravens went through them like the proverbial hot knife through butter, and then they forced the fumble from Henry late. How about that? Derrick Henry, who's gone his whole career hardly ever fumbling, is now fumbled in each of the first 3 games of this season. 2 of them very costly for the Ravens. And how about this? We've commented about how it's been a pretty crazy college football season in certain teams of which much was expected. And, Clemson's 1-3. Okay. The Chiefs and the Ravens are both 1-2 and they play each other. So one of them's going to be 1-3 at this time next week. The Houston Texans have won the South 2 years in a row with double-digit wins, and they've won a playoff game each of the last 2 years, and they're sitting there with the big donut in the left-hand column. All right. How about a little, this doesn't usually happen in the NFL, where 3 division winners from a year ago are combined right now 2-7.
Hell, David, we may even get a poll question out of that. Who's more likely to miss the playoffs? And wouldn't put Houston on it. But if one of these 2 teams is going to miss the playoffs, is it the Ravens or the Chiefs? Or do they both go? So you're right. 1-2, 1-2, 0-3 for the Texans. And the Chiefs and Ravens, as David said, play next week. So, and the following week, I believe Houston comes to Baltimore. So interesting in the AFC already.
Right. From 2 of the heavyweights and one that spent the whole offseason saying we were going to be able to fight above our weight class this year. So there you go. The other thing that impressed me about the Lions, and in the first half, it didn't seem to me like they were getting a whole lot of pressure on Lamar unless they sent more than 4 people. Boy, that was not the case in the second half. Man, I think they ended up with 7 sacks. They were relentless on Lamar.
Their pursuit of him was incredible because obviously we all know his escapability and his ability to make chicken salad. And last night, it wasn't available. The chicken salad wasn't on the deli tray, David. Detroit was able to squash him. And besides the sacks, there was a handful of 2-yard Lamar runs, if you know what I mean, where he escaped past the line of scrimmage, but he wasn't getting chunks out of Detroit. There was a couple of them during the game, but by and large, the defensive line and whoever was spying him did a hell of a job of not just pursuing David, but something that we complain about in this league a lot. They tackled well. And I know it's a game where we expect that, but come on, we all watch a lot of football, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, and there's a lot of bad tackling that's done. There's a lot of guys that like to throw their shoulder into someone and not wrap up and get them to the ground. And Detroit was able to get Lamar to the ground last night. That was impressive.
So Lamar, and we had talked about it for days, is now 24-3 against the NFC. Well done, Lions. Well done.
And Lee Sterling got a game of the week right. because he had the Lions.
Yes,
We thought he
did.
was nuts.
Nuts.
Not so fast, my friend. Miller and Moulton, starting 25 minutes away. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Well, I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller.
Thought I had that in the archives. I may even use that again.
Go Raiders. Just remember, you got respect from the media. Coaches still have you sixth. Sixth. Huh. I don't have anything planned on Air Aikman. There's a couple of possibilities late in the season. Excuse me. With all my West Coast travel between CBS and ABC.
So I've already moved to week 4 in the survivor pool, and it's either Detroit or Denver. I think I got to go Denver.
Oh, next week?
Yeah. Detroit hosts Cleveland. Denver hosts Cincinnati. You know that, obviously, because you're doing the game.
I was going to say, part of a Monday Night Football doubleheader. Jets, Dolphins at 7 next week.
Oh, it's funny. I'm all in. I'm all into the first game. I'm far more into the first game than the second game because I don't think the second game is going to be competitive because hopefully Cincinnati plays a hell of a lot better than for you. I mean, because that was just a stinker.
Yeah, they got it out of their system. It's funny. I've seen Jake Browning twice. He's been really good both times.
Right.
It's funny. I've seen Jordan Love 3 times. He's been bad all 3. I've seen Jake Browning twice. He's been good both times.
I listened to 10 minutes of Pat yesterday, maybe 5, when I picked Matty up. And I don't think he listened to us, but whatever he listened to yesterday, everybody was negative about this team's bad instead of like complimenting the good. He was hot early in the show. It was funny.
All right.
It was funny. But in your thing about Love, when he was talking about Green Bay, he goes, well, the quarterback there still has a bad thrower for a game.
Yeah. I think that's what Pat and I are still on the same page on
I
that
thought
one.
that was a good line. I thought of you said it.
I thought we could be wrong, but I think
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan to join us, 8 a.m. Eastern, for 2 segments to talk all things NFL. No David Sampson again today. He posted a couple statements last night. He's got some stuff going on in his family. He said he will talk about them in greater detail next week. David also hasn't been part of Nothing Personal with David Sampson all last week, and he's not going to be doing his podcast this week as well. So obviously something significant going on with David and his family. He said he'll let us all know next week. So no David Sampson once again, but Pat Kirwan coming up 8 a.m. Eastern here on Miller and Moulton. So Clay Travis, an Outkick, although it was specifically Clay Travis, he did something that I thought is worthy of mention. And I know Clay is political and some people don't like him. And, once again, we don't do politics. We're doing sports.
But he was a really good sports guy before the politics came up. In fact, we had him on our show before he was anything. It was, David and I have each kind of found a couple of people over the years. Clay was someone that he started that Outkick the Coverage website. And I'm like, we got to get this guy. This guy, he's an original thinker. And we had him on, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, he told CBS 10 years ago, you're going to lose the SEC. They're really mad at you. You better listen to me. And they didn't read him, apparently. And, here we are. So yesterday, we spent a decent amount of time talking about how much the rankings honk us off, to be blunt. Okay, and we really don't like the fact that seemingly, too much reputation, too much preseason thinking lingers for such a long time into the regular season, and that teams are still being propped up. We talked yesterday, and sure, we might have a regional bias, but how is Illinois ranked and South Florida's not? I mean, if you look at the resume, that's laughable. Absolutely laughable. South Florida's beaten Boise State in Florida. All right. Illinois is beaten Duke on the road. Seriously?
Both teams were beaten badly.
Right.
One by the number 2 team in the country, and the other much worse by Indiana. A good team, not a knock on Indiana, but Miami so far with their resume looks like a much tougher opponent than Indiana.
We made the case yesterday. Hey, Miami in the AP polls number 2. I think if you do resume, they got to be number 1. You could still give the best win of the season so far to Ohio State, okay, and vote Miami number 1 in our opinion. But anyway, so Clay Travis did, Mark, what we were advocating yesterday. He did it for the SEC. He did an SEC power ranking, as he specifically says, based entirely on the games actually played, not what the thought of the teams was before the season started, but what we've actually seen on the field. He has the Gators dead last. Dead last in the SEC.
Wow.
16th. He has Arkansas 15th, Kentucky 14th, South Carolina 13th, Texas 12. I think they're still top 10 in the country. He's got them 12th in the conference. All right. Now, this one I don't agree with. He's got Auburn 11th. I don't understand that one at all. At all.
No, I would disagree with that. You know, we made the case for South Florida. I believe Auburn dropped out of the rankings as well, and we don't think we should have. I mean,
no,
they played Oklahoma they played Oklahoma really close.
Right. We thought they should have gone up. Okay. They went to the number 11 team in the country, lost by a illegal touchdown. Okay. And we thought, oh, heck, I'd put them like 18th after their showing last week. You know, Missouri 10, Ole Miss 9, Mississippi State 8, giving some credits to the Bulldogs, who were expected to be just awful this year. Awful.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them higher than Ole Miss. I think the Ole Miss win over Tulane and what they did to them is more impressive than Mississippi State's win over Arizona State, but neither here nor there.
Right. I agree with that. He has Alabama 7th. Actually seems a little high to me. I'd flip Alabama and Auburn right now with no problem. He's got Tennessee 6th, Georgia 5th, LSU 4th. So he's got 3 teams that have been more impressive, and their resumes he likes more than LSU.
Well, think about his logic here. If he has Florida last, LSU won that game close.
And Clemson's 1-3.
Correct. And just got whooped by Syracuse.
Right.
I mean, Syracuse beat them far more badly than LSU did. Both games were at Clemson.
Right. Now, you could argue that the damage that's been done to Clemson, in part by LSU, helped Syracuse's cause. But yeah, absolutely. And obviously, this is one man's opinion. He's got Texas A&M 3.
I might have them higher, but
he's got Oklahoma 2.
Okay.
Can anybody mention the team?
Who's left? Who's left
from the SEC that he has not mentioned?
There's a school in the SEC that's not named after a town nor a state, in case you were wondering.
That's right. He's got Vanderbilt ranked number 1 in the SEC power rankings right now, based on what they've done this year. Now, I don't agree with that, but it's not often that I can see a football power ranking where Vandy is 1 and Florida is 16.
I was going to say, is this the baseball rankings? I'm not sure.
And even then, okay, the Gators, they're like, so we're not even 16th in the country. Are you serious? Okay, take a 1 off that, and that's about where we are nationally.
Now, I disagree with that wholeheartedly, because resume-wise, Vanderbilt at South Carolina is their best win. Okay, is that the best win in the conference? I would say Georgia's win over Tennessee is a much better win. Although Georgia had no business winning that game, but at the end, they ended up with the most points somehow, some way.
But Vanderbilt is ranked 18th in the country. They are 4-0. And yeah, they went on the road. They whacked a Virginia Tech team whose coach has already been fired.
Right.
And a South Carolina team in which they knocked their starting quarterback out, and the Gamecocks were a hot mess the rest of the game. But I think he's also based out of Nashville. I think there's a little tongue in cheek and a jab in there, you know.
There's no doubt, because he's a big Vols fan. And
Right.
I think that's a shot at the Vols losing to Georgia, and he's still a little upset about that.
But, you know, so I just wanted to throw that out there that, you know, a prominent national figure did what Miller and Moulton were advocating for yesterday. How about if you just rank the teams in some way, shape, or form based on this year and this year only? Okay, just take 16 resumes out, do the blind resume test, look at what they've done, and rank accordingly.
And I also think we talked a little off air yesterday. The Athletic, Chris Vanini, he does his 1 through 136 rankings.
Right, Pat
he
Ford
does it
used
top
do
to
it
bottom.
anyway. Oh,
And I thought his rankings are a little bit more resume based and a little better look to me at where we are in college football than what the AP and the coaches poll look like. And to give the AP writers a little bit of a break, because I've come down on them hard and they deserve it. But remember, most of these AP writers are doing what? They're covering a team, which means they're getting to the stadium a couple hours before the game that they cover to get ready to cover that team. They're there for a couple hours after. They can't possibly have a good idea of what's going on in the rest of the college football world, or they wouldn't be doing their job.
Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, your home for all the football and baseball that September provides, plus a nightly food special. Got bingo and trivia Tuesdays and Thursdays, live music Fridays, karaoke Saturdays. Never mind the fact that Shoeless Joe's is going to celebrate Grandparents' Day, National Hot Dog Day, National Cheeseburger Day, all in the month of September. Food and drink specials during every NFL game. Shoeless Joe's, the official home for Ohio State football. Shoeless Joe's, good food, good times, good sports in the Doubletree by Hilton. Bell Tower Shops, Fort Myers.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters, floormeisters.com.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
How do you think those Vols fans that all follow Travis.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that one.
totally. But that's okay. At least put them ahead of Alabama.
We got to do the permanents at 7 or 7:30.
Well, it's in the starting five.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to go through all the teams and the different.
Not through all the teams.
But I mean, just like, no Florida LSU, no Alabama LSU.
No Florida, Tennessee.
Does that? Yeah. It looked like I thought it was reasonably fair.
Yeah, I have to admit, not very attractive for a Gator season ticket holder, though.
No, but I mean, I'm just talking from a standpoint of, is it fair for every team?
Right.
Florida might have got the break of the schedule. They might have
Yes.
got one of the easiest, maybe the easiest. I do love that they put Vandy and Mississippi State against each other. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
There's just something about that made me laugh. Burt Jones had an arm. Right, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
That was first day, but he had an arm. That was a cannon of an arm.
Till especially like him and Bradshaw that came up at roughly the same time from the same part of the country. And yeah, Burt got hurt. Took down the Baltimore Colts.
I will say, I do find this interesting at Florida that they all think they can get certain people that I just don't, with no president, Strickland's going to be able to hire another coach.
I think the Bull Gators are going to allow that technicality. He'll be the one hiring them, but it'll be the one of their choosing, I think. But we'll see. I mean, depends how angry they get. Does the basketball natty resonate with the Bull Gators, or do they not care?
Do you know what? I mean, they like it.
I will say younger Gator fans, love the basketball natty.
Right.
Okay? I don't know the people.
Younger Gator fans
plus.
don't give money to
Well, not yet. Right. 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 Their parents are still the ones sending money.
Right.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Want to make you aware the starting five will be brought to you by Shoeless Joe Sports Cafe. Beginning next week, they're going to let you decide what games they show and what game gets the sound inside of Shoeless Joe's. Yeah, we're going to run week-long poll questions here on Miller and Moulton. We'll give them the results on Friday, and that'll be the games and the games that get the sound inside of Shoeless Joe's. You will decide. By the way, it's going to be a
You get a
phenomenal-
television, and you get a television.
Thank you, Oprah. It's going to be a fun weekend. Hope the games deliver, but NFL goes to Europe this week. So there's a 9:30 a.m. Eastern game. And then you've got a pair of undefeateds facing each other at 1 o'clock. You got the Ravens-Chiefs matchup in the late afternoon time slot. Throw in the Cowboys and Packers in prime time. The Dolphins play on a Monday doubleheader in a battle of winless teams. I mean, who doesn't like to stop for the car wreck? Mark and I were talking during the break. We think more people may watch the car wreck than actually watch the Bengals and the Broncos. But anyway, so it's a spread out NFL Week 4, but we'll get to that in due time. Time now for
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
Well, it's very quiet in the city of Baltimore this morning, and it was a very quiet walk from the stadium last night after the Detroit Lions got into the ring with the Ravens in Baltimore, and they out Baltimored the Ravens. 225 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, not 1 but 2 scoring drives longer than 95 yards by the Lions, who forced another Derrick Henry fumble. That's his 3rd in 3 games. And Lamar was sacked 7 times. And Lamar's record against the NFC is still gaudy, but it's now 24-3. Lions 38-30 over Baltimore. Detroit's 2-1. They host the Browns in week 4. The Ravens are 1-2. And they'll visit the 1-2 Chiefs Sunday afternoon in Kansas City. Love a little drama, huh? Unfortunately, after every week, we have to do the injury report. Remember, they're going to add another game before the decade is out. How big should the roster size be?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this for the longest time. The first thing they've got to get to is allowing 53 players to dress on game day. And,
Right.
and David, until we at least get to there, I don't even think there's a starting point for increasing the roster size.
49ers have lost Nick Bosa for the year, a torn right ACL. He knew it before the team. Team was optimistic for about 18 hours. Bosa kept telling him, no, I tore my ACL. Chargers running back Najee Harris, he tore his left Achilles. He's out for the year. Think about that. 4 years in Pittsburgh, never missed a game, 1,000 yards all 4 years, non-contact, boom. His Achilles blows. 3rd game in Los Angeles. CeeDee Lamb may go on the IL for 4 weeks because he's going to miss apparently at least 3 with a left high ankle sprain. Cowboys right guard Tyler Booker is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. He has a severe ankle sprain. That's after the Cowboys lost their center to a foot injury week 1. So Dallas already getting hit hard by injuries and hit hard on offense, which needs to be their strength. Cowboys host the Packers, who will arrive in Big D in a lovely mood after blowing that game in Cleveland. Arizona lost running back James Conner to right foot surgery. He's out for the year. And is this a sign of trouble in Atlanta? Raheem Morris, remember, this is his second go-around as head coach. He was Bucs head coach 15 years ago. Actually put a 10-win season up on the board. Raheem fired his wide receiver coach yesterday, Ike Hilliard.
Yeah.
You lose 30-0 to Carolina.
And you fire the wide receiver coach.
Right. Not the offensive coordinator, or demote the offensive coordinator, or what have you. The passing game coordinator, the run game coordinator, the O-line, the wide receiver coach you fire. Huh. We'll see. We'll see. In Atlanta, off to a 1-2 start, and already 2 games behind the Bucs, who have beaten them at their place also. Falcons fans should at least take solace. At one point last year, you were 3 games ahead of the Bucs, and you owned the tiebreaker, and they still won the division. Tragic news out of Orlando. UCF O-line coach Sean Clark died Sunday at the age of 50. I hesitate to use this word because he had a serious medical event over 2 weeks earlier, but he was in the hospital, and by those who had visited him, he was resting comfortably in stable condition. I mean, Scott Frost said as much just 2 days ago. And so he's in the hospital because of a serious medical event, yet many people are saying that him dying at the age of 50 Sunday was, quote, unexpected, because everyone thought he was on the road to recovery. So UCF having to deal with that. The ACC quickly following in the footsteps of the SEC and agreeing to play 9 conference games beginning next year. They also will require their teams, Mark, to play 10 Power 4 games a year. So what the ACC is saying is no Penn State schedules from this year.
Well, and I think they're also then sticking up for their big boys. If you think about it, the big teams in the conference, Florida State, Clemson, Georgia Tech, always have a really strong Power 4 opponent. Miami's never ducked anybody throughout their history, but they don't have an actual rivalry game in there. But you get where I'm going at with this. I mean, the big boys all play it. They're not going to let someone slip in with a Penn State schedule like you mentioned.
And by the way, that's just Penn State this year. Penn State normally has a better non-conference schedule.
Or an Indiana schedule. I mean,
Right.
we could do this for hours.
Right. I mean, Ohio State had the same non-conference last year. Michigan had it 2 years earlier. Oh, by the way, those 2 teams won the Natty. But the ACC making sure beginning next year, 9 conference games. And then, hey, you got one of your non-conference has to be against a Power 4. SEC will unveil tonight the 3 annual football teams that each school will play for the next 4 seasons. This goes back half dozen years when the talk was they were going to take the SEC once Texas and Oklahoma joined and put everybody in 4 4-team divisions. And then what you would do is you would play your division every year. And then of the other 3 divisions, you pick 2 from all 3 divisions. So that's 6 along with the 3. There's your 9. And what it would guarantee, by the way, is that not only would you play those 3 teams every year, but then of the other 12 schools, you would play a home and home with all of them over the course of a 4-year period of time. Reportedly, and more later, but reportedly, Florida's 3 annual opponents for the next 4 years, beginning next season, will be Georgia, Kentucky, and South Carolina. No LSU, no Tennessee. More later in the show. Bruce Pearl retired, effective immediately.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, not even the, hey, this will be my final season. There are rumors he's going to run for the Senate in Alabama, and he didn't necessarily deny him yesterday. He's 65 years old. He was at Auburn for 11 years, did an amazing job, took him to 2 Final Fours, and should have played for the Natty 6 years ago. They got absolutely hosed by a missed call in the final minute of the game in the semis against Virginia when they had the lead. But Bruce Pearl, and the job was handed over to his son, Stephen. He got a 5-year deal. And if you wonder how could that be, did I mention that Dad took him to 2 Final Fours? Yeah, Dad had hand, and he used it. Right. Baseball, only 3 games last night. 1 had playoff meaning. The Padres edged the Brewers 5-4-11. It officially clinched the playoff spot for San Diego, who's technically down 2.5 behind the Dodgers. The Brewers also are trying to lock down the top overall seed. With the loss, their lead over the Phillies remains 2.5. Milwaukee owns the tiebreaker over the Phillies for best overall record. And by the way, whoever's the 1 seed in the National League is going to have home field advantage in the World Series too, if they make it. And the Padres do not have the tiebreaker against the Dodgers, but now they're 2.5 back. The Braves have won 9 in a row. There's talk of throwing this Snitker guy, overboard after this disappointing season. Yeah, Snitker's not the problem. How about the whole team on the IL? How about that's the problem? All right, Braves 11-5 over the Nats. And the Cardinals edge the Giants 6-5. The Rays were officially sold yesterday. It was approved by Major League Baseball and the owners. So Jacksonville real estate developer Patrick Zalupski, he and his group are the new owners of the Rays. Mark, you deal in real estate, okay? That,
Yeah, just like he does. We're very similar, David.
Well, I wasn't quite going down that road. I mean, I know you've had some good sales in the last 3 years, but I know you're not quite in Mr. Zalupski's area code. I was just mentioning that, how things can be approved, but official closing date, and baseball says it'll probably be till the end of the month until paperwork's been processed and what have you. Basketball news. Heat all-star Tyler Hero, left foot surgery. He's going to miss 8 weeks. That means he'll miss about 12 games of the season. And Rockets point guard Fred VanVleet, in an individual workout, because training camp's about to begin here soon, he tore his ACL. And he's likely out for the year. VanVleet is 32 in February. Had just signed a 2-year, $50 million extension. Remember, Rockets brought KD into the equation.
That's a blow because
season.
Early on,
Huge.
their team thought of to be a title contender, and he's a big part of that. So that's one, if you're a Rockets fan, that you're going to be concerned with, obviously.
They were the 2 seed out west last year, and they were one of the youngest teams in the league.
I mean, think about it with Houston right now. Their football team started out 0-3. The Astros are skidding like a son of a gun right now and could miss the playoffs.
Right.
And a core player of your basketball team now done for the year. It has not been a good week in Houston.
And the NHL won't seriously consider you for expansion when you're begging for a team. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories, and congratulations, Patrick Zalupski. You have won the Tampa Bay Rays. And here's a new car and a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni, Mark. The San Francisco treat. There you go. Miller and Moulton. So a little this, little that. And unfortunately, too many key injuries in football and basketball.
By the way, I didn't realize part of that Rays ownership group, I believe, is Fred Ridley, who's the chairman of Augusta National. Didn't know he was part of the group until yesterday. I mean, they listed a bunch of the minority owners, some of them minor league ballpark, some minor league owners and things of that nature. The big guy there from Jacksonville, but Fred Ridley, part of that group as well. Miller and Moulton. We'll have a poll question on the other side. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Well, I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller & Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X, or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller & Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest, now try the best. Miller & Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller & Moulton.
Yes, they are, Tim. Yes, they are. And guys, David said it 100 times. He'll be in Denver for the Denver-Cincinnati game.
It's real simple. If the game, when there's a doubleheader week, one game's on ABC, one game's on ESPN. Joe and Troy are always the ABC game. So,
and Sonny, I think they're going to. I believe they're going to get a Tampa Stadium, whether it's an Ybor, which I'm with you. That would be the ideal place just because it would make that whole area better. But the Fairgrounds is, I think, a good choice B, if you will.
What years? Well, from day one, I did 2002 through 22. That is a random question, Wes. Where's the land near Ray J? Help me out.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Week 4 of college, week 3 of the NFL, now completely in the books as we will head to the final weekend of September. Football schedule coming up beginning Thursday in both the NFL and college football. There's plenty of news to discuss. It's also the final week of the Major League Baseball regular season. I think officially you only have like one team in the American League that's, quote, clinched a playoff spot, even though it's like 8 teams battling for 6 spots. Meanwhile, in the National League, 5 of the 6 have clinched. The Reds, Mets, and Diamondbacks will battle for the 6th seed. And I think we could kind of lock in who the top 5 seeds are, not just teams, but seeds. There seems to be enough space, Brewers 3 up on the Phillies in the loss column, for 1 versus 2, and the Dodgers 3 up on the Padres for 3, and Cubs a clear edge over the Padres for the 4 seed. So, it would take a collapse by somebody this week, I think, to cost themselves the seeding that seems to be in place in the National League.
But as you said, in the American League, we have no idea.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I think Toronto's going to win the division, but I can't even say that with certainty anymore, the way that the American League has been so topsy-turvy. And not just Detroit's collapse, but obviously Houston has fallen recently, and Seattle has caught them. And Boston's come on to be there for a wild card. Cleveland obviously playing lights-out baseball right now. So a lot of unknowns in the American League.
And even though Toronto has the best record in the American League, and right now they're the 1 seed, and they're the only team in the American League that's officially clinched a playoff spot, their final week of the season, albeit it's all at home, the teams have a little meat on the bone to them that they play. Meanwhile, the Yankees at home have the White Sox and the Orioles. And I know the Orioles have played, above 500 baseball for the last 4 months. Okay, but Yankees 2 back of the Jays. Jays own the tiebreaker. Would it shock you if the Yankees went 5-1 this week?
Not at
the White
all.
Sox and the Orioles at home.
And it's interesting to me because I know we don't care about awards the way we once did. But there is a clear difference in opinion on the AL MVP. And I wonder how much the last week of this season, David, will impact that. You've got Cal Raleigh, who may hit 60 home runs. And you have Aaron Judge. And in the analytic world, Aaron Judge is far and away the better hitter when it comes to the two of them. It's not close. But Cal Raleigh plays catcher. Given the fact that he's basically an everyday catcher, and if he leads his team to winning a division, hitting 60 home runs, will analytics win out that in combination with the guy who is the analytic leader, a hell of a season, and he's a Yankee? All of those things are going to be factored in, at least to me, when we get this final vote. I'd vote for Cal Raleigh right now, partially because of the playing catcher. It's not easy
So
to
they
do
got
what he's doing at the plate and still be a basically an everyday catcher. That's impressive as hell to me.
very and historic. I mean, no one else. He's going to lead the American League in home runs and RBIs. And Miller and Moulton are old enough to remember when the RBI was a valued stat. Apparently it's not anymore, which is funny because I thought the whole thing about hitting was to score runs. No? Apparently it is.
But then again, the other stat that used to matter in baseball is batting average. Aaron Judge is hitting 326 this year.
Oh, yeah. Barring him having like a 2 for 24 week, Aaron Judge is going to win the batting title. I mean, he's like, what, 11, 13 points ahead?
Right.
He's leading the majors in batting average because, I mean, I don't think there's a National League hitter. I mean, trying to look here for a National League hitter. Trey Turner of the Phillies is hitting 305, and he's leading the National League in hitting. So Judge is at 326 right now.
Judge leads the American League in runs scored. He has scored 23 more runs than has Cal Raleigh. He's fifth in the are you talking about the RBIs? Judge still has 105 RBI. I can't ever get used to saying that, by the way.
What's that?
RBI instead of RBIs. I mean,
I hear you.
It's the right way to say it. If you said ours BI, it would make sense. But it was RBIs for my whole life, and then it became RBI, and it's just tough. It doesn't sound right to me.
So they got into this discussion on Sunday Night Baseball. And by the way, this past Sunday, I know I said this yesterday, but final Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, unless the baseball television contracts going forward are entirely different than what's being reported. I think NBC is supposed to end up with Sunday Night Baseball, whether it's on NBC or it's on USA or Peacock or what have you. But 35 years, ESPN doing Sunday Night Baseball. All right. And this past Sunday in Houston is likely the swan song of it. So they got into this discussion, and they made the Michael Jordan comparison, in which if you look in the 90s when Jordan played full seasons, he didn't win the MVP every season. Barkley won an MVP in 93 with Phoenix. Karl Malone won an MVP, I think it was in 97 with Utah. And they said, come on, was anybody better player than Michael Jordan? But they emphasized the word valuable All right. The Suns were the number 1 seed that year. They had the best record in the NBA. Barkley was the best player on that team, and he did produce an amazing season. I mean, was he a better player than Michael Jordan? No. And the same thing with Karl Malone in Utah. One of those years, okay, Utah was the 1 seed and had the best record overall. And so they gave Malone the MVP. And so the discussion, and we've got many examples. You go back to 1987, Andre Dawson on a last place Cubs team gets the MVP. Why? His stats were the best. He had 49 homers that year. And, but then again, the very next year, Kirk Gibson wins the MVP with 26 homers and less than 80 RBIs for the Dodgers because they emphasize the valuable part of most valuable player. Strawberry on the Mets. Mets won more games. Strawberry hit 13 more homers and drove in 30 more runs. He finished second because Gibson's leadership, the locker room, the whole deal. So, the same people voting on these awards have gone 2 different ways, literally in back-to-back years before. And so they were having a discussion, Mark, as to, so what do we do this year? Because Carl Ravitch said, listen, Aaron Judge is the best player in the American League. We can all agree on that, right? Okay. So are we voting for most valuable player or player of the year? And which one is which?
And look at, how can you not say from a valuable standpoint that Judge is any less valuable than Cal Raleigh?
Right.
Where would the Yankees be without Aaron Judge? I mean, there were stretches of the season when they weren't hitting well, and he was.
Now, I will say the Yankees just have played a really nice stretch of 2-week baseball, and Judge was, Judge didn't tear it up for all 2 weeks. Okay, but then again, the Mariners have also had a nice 2-week stretch here. I think they're 13-1, and it's not like the big dumpers homering in every game. See, here's another thing, Mark, that we have to, and they tried to talk about this Sunday night. Seattle has tremendous pitching. He's the catcher. There was a day and age where the catcher got a lot of credit for that. Calling the game, framing pitches, etc.
But catchers don't call the game anymore.
Right. So, and Ravitch said, do we as the voters have to do some homework here and find out, you talk to the Seattle pitchers, quite frankly. He said, do we have to find out, just how good of a receiver he is? And the interesting thing about Cal Raleigh is that you asked, and people have now in the last couple months, hey, did you ever think you would? And he goes, no, I never thought I'd be this good. I never thought I could produce a season like this. No. So, by the way,
and look, and I know people don't, we get it. People don't care about awards the way they once did.
Right.
Particularly in baseball, which we've lost our, love for the sport, the romantic part of baseball that was so prevalent in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and into the 80s is not there anymore.
Right.
But it's worthy of a discussion because I think this is really close.
So one guy,
where does Judge play? And the most important, the most important position in the outfield.
Right. Well, they moved him off of center, but yes. But also he plays for the Yankees. Now, sometimes that can work for you, and sometimes it can work against you. I mean, Jeter never won MVP. There are a couple years there where Jeter probably should have, okay? And it actually, all the Yankees winning worked against him.
But my argument there would be all of the other talent on those Yankees teams. Think about who he played with.
No doubt.
And then look at this Yankees team. I don't give a damn what they're spending. Look at the team and look at who's produced and look who hasn't. And Judge with this Yankees team is, to me, far more valuable than Jeter was with his Yankees teams. And I get it. He was the captain and all of the things that go with that. But so's Judge, for that matter.
And remember, it's a regular season award. Obviously, Jeter's in October/November, legend, and Judge has not performed well in the playoffs. Never mind winning.
Hell, David, you know what? I'm feeling it.
No.
I'm feeling it.
No!
That's going to be the poll question, at least one. Who would you vote for the American League MVP? I said it out loud on the radio. It's the poll question. It's going up. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Faro and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Faro and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Faro and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Todd and I are local. We're involved in our community. We live here, we work here, we're in our showroom every day. We love working with our guests. We love giving back to our community.
We are so excited about our new store. Same location, same team, new environment. Every day is like a grand reopening. Absolutely stunning when you walk through our doors now. Come experience the newness of the Diamond District. See what we've done.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's funny, Adam. That is funny. If you live locally, Left Twix, I hope you used our guys at Floormaster and told them that we sent you, but congratulations on your new flooring. 25% of my Survivor League went down this week. That's how many had Green Bay. If Tampa would have lost, it would have been humongous. 25% of my Survivor League went down. All on Green Bay, basically.
Okay.
The Tampa loss would have taken out another 25%, but now you just got to avoid the next big upset.
So how much of the league is left?
Oh, a lot. I mean, there's over 200 people in this. This is a...
Okay, well, because usually you get what, about 5 weeks into the season, and you're already like, hey, it's time to bring out the second Survivor.
Oh, yeah, I think it starts this week. He already said email. But he doesn't. He literally says we're going to do one about week 4 or 5. So I just send him a check for the weekly winners pool, in the 2 suicides. Like, here you go. And for whatever reason, he always, like, if I forget, with about 2 weeks before the season, I get a text from him. I think he loves the fact that I do this and I'm in his league. He gets a kick out of it. Former fireman. Good dude. Does everything. It's funny. Everything's a number. You pick teams by number. He's got it all set up in Excel, and it's really well run. I don't think they announced them till Thursday, Sonny. I don't think we'll get pairings until the day before. And you just get the morning. Oh, Johnny Mackey, you either give cash or a check to this guy. He doesn't want Venmo. He doesn't want Zelle. It's old school. It's fantastic. It's one of 2 checks I write a year.
Priorities,
And I don't know who the other one's to. It might be the only check I write a year.
I'll have to take a day off from work if they do away with checks.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up at the top of the hour to talk all things NFL here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So did you do it during the break?
I did it.
Unreal.
I did it.
Unreal. All right.
I feel as if Adam in our Twitch chat room, and he's a regular listener from the north part of Florida, and we thank all of you for listening, particularly those that have joined us since we've been on in Tampa Bay, in the Tampa-St. Pete area. Happy to be on Florida Alumni Radio 1010. If you're listening, want to text the show, the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. 21,000 is the number. 21,000, the keyword is Miller. But yes, I feel like Adam threw a flag. He said, baseball stuff ends in August. I'm throwing a flag at your poll question because I did it. I asked, who would you vote the AL MVP? Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go big dumper, Aaron Judge.
No.
Okay. All right.
So it's up, but I feel as if I owe Adam and the rest of our avid football fans a football question to back this one up.
Oh, really? Really? Can't just let baseball have a moment here. Final week of the regular season, 2 historic guys. Okay. All right, fine. All right. What's your football question? How about this? Okay. Chiefs and Ravens are both 1-2. They're playing each other this Sunday in Kansas City. Okay. Want to ask the question? Okay. Which one you still believe in? Okay.
Well, that's kind of where I was thinking. Who's going to make the playoffs? Ravens, Chiefs, both, neither.
Okay. I like that.
That's kind of where I was going because I feel as if I mean, come on, David. When you run into anybody and every once in a while we'll meet someone and inevitably you're talking about, what do you do for a living?
Yep.
And I get it a lot when I'm at some of my daughter's events, like soccer practice. I met a guy last week at soccer practice. We just started talking. And he's telling me about what he did, and I don't give up anything. And he finally says, so what do you do? And I said, I do a radio show. Oh, what kind of radio show? I do a sports talk show. And it turned out he had listened. He's like, what show? And I'm like, Miller and Moulton. He's like, oh my goodness, love your show, which is awesome to hear. And I think the world of all the people that listen to this show. But he says, so what's the main thing you guys talk about? And I said, football. What else? I said, football.
Right. It's the old joke. There's two sports in Texas. There's football and there's spring football.
Right.
Right. We've come to find out if it was up to Miller and Moulton, we'd talk a few more sports with a little more variety. But yeah, we got to keep going back to throwing meat to the lions because that's what you told us you want. Along those lines, let me just give you some week 3 in the NFL factoids. Didn't matter if you went over. Didn't matter if you went under. You went 8-8 this week. If you took all overs or you took all unders. Also, didn't matter if you took favorites. Didn't matter if you took dogs. Because if you took all the favorites, you went 8-8. If you took all the underdogs, you went 8-8. What happened for the first time this year, though, home teams this week went 12-4. Yeah, last night withstanding. Only 4 road teams to win outright this week. Lions, Steelers, Colts, Chiefs. Yeah. So, good week for the home teams. Last night notwithstanding.
Well, we had 1 week with a bunch of unders. We had 1 week with a bunch of overs. And I haven't broken it down yet from week 3. But it is there so far. This season doesn't have there are not a lot of trends yet, if you know what I mean, David.
No, but like you said, it was a really big over week 1 week. It was a really big, that was week 2. Week 1 was a big under week. This week was an 8-8 week. Over unders. Some weeks you play the dogs. Some weeks you play the favorites. This week, 8-8 favorites versus dogs. So, but this was a good home week. For whatever reason, 12-4 the home teams this past week. Okay, all right. Has not been much of a home field advantage in the NFL 3+ years now. Home teams are winning at like a 53% clip. It's why Vegas only gives about 1.5 points to the home team now when they used to give 3 back in the day. So there you go.
But the football poll question is now up as well.
Okay.
A little raw meat to the Lions. Not the Detroit Lions, who were impressive last night with that road victory. I didn't see it coming. I didn't even see it. After Detroit started with that great drive, the way Baltimore came down and scored so quickly, I was certain at that point you had to get to the 30s to win. There was not a doubt in my mind. But even with Baltimore in the late touchdown getting to 30, that Detroit defense played well last night. Their linebackers were as good as I've seen them in a long time. And they were able to stop the run. They were able to contain Lamar. No big huge runs, really. I think Lamar had 1 big run. Henry had 1 big run. Other than that, Detroit did a pretty good job of stifling the Ravens D, and that leads us to, obviously, our poll question that I mentioned. The Ravens and Chiefs play this week. Which of the two will make the playoffs? Chiefs, Ravens, both, or neither are your choices. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller _ Moulton on X. And yes, we have a baseball question. Hell, tomorrow or Thursday, we're going to have a golf question because the Ryder Cup is on the horizon.
And we'll give you a little tease right now. We're going to ask you who you think will win, not who you're rooting for. Who do you think will win? Miller and Moulton are rooting for the U.S. We root hard every year. It bothers us a lot when we lose this sucker, sometimes in various ways. But do you know who Miller and Moulton bet on almost every time? Europe.
Two things that we hold true with the Ryder Cup. One is we typically in the last bit have bet on the Euros. And two, if we were asked to go have a drink with either team, we would always pick the Euros. They just seem more fun. And
Yes.
to say David means that we get out of sorts. 2 years ago, I was a mess on Friday as we were getting blown out. Because it started really early. Most of that was done while we were on the air. And we're just getting destroyed.
Right.
And I'm getting ticked off watching.
Oh, no, we get into this sucker. Okay, it bothers us when we lose. I mean, what? We lost 8 out of 10 during a stretch. Okay, we haven't won a road Ryder Cup in over 30 years. It bothers us. All right, we're at home this year. Also, we haven't had a close Ryder Cup in a while. We've had just home team blowouts here lately. So that's not expected this year. It's expected to be really tight. That'd be awesome. Right now, I'd love for it to be 8-8 going to Sunday. Let's go. Be great. Figure out a way for Scheffler and Rory to play against each other, by the way. I don't care if you have to break the rules. Go over, do a little side deal. They both want to play against each other, okay? And remember, Mark, what is it again?
It's a TV show. Let me ask you this on that note. I know you keep saying Rory versus Scotty, and I get it, 1 and 2 in the world. Do you want to see Rory versus Scotty, or do you want to see Rory versus Bryson?
Well, Rory is picking a fight with Bryson.
Right.
Yeah.
And the crowd obviously is going to be all USA anyhow. But Rory and Bryson, if Bryson, because come on, Scheffler, if he gets emotional and fist pumps and acts differently than he does during tournaments, wonderful. But we know Bryson will. Bryson will get the crowd going. And to me against Rory, that to me is a better TV show. Miller and Moulton, a little SEC talk next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm not kidding. I think you got to put Cantlay in the final group of the session. You can't let his slowness, okay, affect every other golfer that's on the course. I mean, if you put him out in the first group, then, you're not just affecting Europe, you're affecting your team. I would, by the way, put him in a match with, who was it, Lowry? Okay. I mean, if you could get, because he'll drive Lowry nuts.
And Lowry will more than likely play with Rory, right?
Right. Or also, I think Terrell Hatton.
I will say, Brian, there is no way that Jackson Dart should start this week.
No.
They play the Chargers. You can't do that to him. Let Russ go out there and get beat. Deal with it. You can't do it. That, as David has said from July on, it's not a good offensive line.
Now, it was a little better at times against the Chiefs because the big fella at left tackle worked his way back in.
But I think they have the Patriots after
I think
the
they have the
Chargers.
Saints.
Is it the Saints? Okay. I knew they had
They have a game at New Orleans coming up. But, Brian, here's another thing. Try to read it if you can. Find the New York Post today. Read the article in which Sterling Shepard, I believe it's Sterling Shepard, he talks at length about, because he's been there since 2019, since Daniel Jones's rookie year. And so he talked about, hey, we kind of broke Danny Dimes by throwing him in third game of his rookie year. Not Shepard, because he's now on the Bucs. Darius Slayton. Okay. And Slayton goes, listen, we helped ruin him by throwing him to the Wolves. Mahomes sat out almost a whole year. Lamar didn't come in till 2/3 of the way through his rookie year. I mean, can we just chill here? No, Baxberg, we do not. He didn't put an offensive line together. Now, there were Leonard Williams and the two safeties, and no, he did draft some good players, but no, he completely missed on the offensive line. He had one winning season as general manager. I don't think they owe him an apology. He got a few things right. That's it. Oh, listen, Baxberg, I do not think Joe Shane has done a good job at all.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until Pat Kirwan will join us. He joins us 8 a.m. Eastern, Tuesdays and Fridays here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We've got 2 poll questions, right?
We do. 1 baseball question. That's right, a baseball question. Who would you vote the AL MVP? Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge. Early voting, Cal Raleigh getting a good amount of the votes, 3/4 of the votes early. I think that's a little Yankee hatred from people. I would vote for Raleigh for what it's worth. I value the position of catcher enough that makes up for the analytics where Judge's numbers are far superior to Cal Raleigh's, even with the near 60 home runs. The analytics say Judge is a much more productive hitter. It's not close. And so many of the baseball voters use analytics to do their voting that it could be very close. And then is there any Yankees fatigue? But the fact of the matter is Judge is having an amazing season, and he's carried this Yankee team for large parts of it. It's going to be very close. The other one is more football-centric because, come on, we had to throw a little meat to the Lions. And the Ravens and Chiefs will play this week. They're each 1-2. How do you think the season ends? Do the Chiefs make the playoffs? Do the Ravens make the playoffs? Do both make the playoffs? Or do neither make the playoffs? For what it's worth, David, I voted both.
And I voted Ravens. I think this early season schedule for the Chiefs, I was the one that said it wouldn't shock me if they start the year 4-4. And then we'll see if they go on the run. And it may happen. I mean, they still got games left against what? The Bills, the Lions, the Commanders, never mind 2 with Denver and 1 more with the Chargers. I mean, the Chiefs have a schedule this year.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
We'll see. We shall see. You said you wanted to talk some SEC.
Yeah, I and specifically, I want to talk to the Gator fan and not about what's going on right now. We've done that a lot. We all know what's happening in Gainesville, and things are not going very well. But the permanent opponents were now announced. And I'm curious, particularly, and I don't know how many of them are out there listening, but there are a lot of Gators fans, and a lot of them make the trek to Gainesville for all the games. Are you happy with these 3 permanent opponents, given the fact that one of them is a neutral site game every year, so that game's not in Gainesville, and you lose LSU every year, and now you get South Carolina and Kentucky as your 2 permanent opponents? I think the Gators may have, of all of the teams in the SEC, David, based on historical reference to the teams, I think the Gators may have had the easiest permanent schedule of anyone in the conference.
Again, Florida's 3 guaranteed SEC opponents for the next 4 years will be Georgia, Kentucky, and South Carolina. That doesn't mean Tennessee and LSU and anyone else won't appear on the schedule. It's just that these 3 will appear on the schedule every season in 26, 27, 28, and 29. So the SEC, they're going to make it official at 7 o'clock tonight, but obviously, some people got their hands on a few emails and the information.
On 3 was the first to report it. The Athletic followed it up.
Which is interesting because the SEC's only media partner is ESPN, and they weren't. So anyway, the SEC is claiming that they have a combination as to how they put this together. One was they tried really hard to write down the big rivalries and or historic rivalries, and to keep them still going annually. And I will say, Mark, you look at Alabama, Auburn's on their permanent list. So's Tennessee. Georgia, Auburn is one of the 3.
Oldest rivalry in the South.
So they made sure for both Auburn and Georgia, they would play each other. And in Auburn's case, also, Alabama's on there. Okay, good. Now, they then, according to the SEC, said, we tracked conference wins over the last 4 years. And with Oklahoma and Texas, we had to give them credit for their Big 12 wins and use that data. And then they added up the 1-loss record and supposedly ranked the teams based on their records from 1 to 16 and then tried to have it be somewhat compatible. You know, it was pointed out that Ole Miss has had a nice little run under the Lane train here. And so Ole Miss ended up getting LSU and Oklahoma as 2 of their 3. And then obviously they'll keep playing the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. So we can argue who got a good schedule, who got a bad. By the way, they are going to what Miller and Moulton and others talked about 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago, which is if you ever get to 16 teams, if you ever went to 9 conference games, you get the 3 permanents, okay, whether they're in your division or not, but it'd be real easy, you know, your pod, if you will, and then you play 2 from the other 3 14 pods every year, home and home. It means you'll play everyone in the conference, all right, every other year, and you'll host every team in the conference at worst every 4 years. So the SEC for the rest of the decade, 26, 27, 28, 29 mark, they've figured this sucker out from a conference standpoint. The other thing that they said they want to take into consideration, because teams have permanent, or they already have some games obviously scheduled in the next 4 years. They want to reward the teams if they're playing a non-conference game on the road, particularly against a Power 4 school. They want to then try to ensure that that team, when it's of the 9 SEC games, they get 5 of them at home. So if you're playing, you know, a good non-conference game on the road, they want to make sure you get 5 of the 9 that year at home.
I will say if Florida doesn't have one of the easier ones, it is Tennessee. Because Tennessee gets Alabama. Okay. And I know Vanderbilt has it going on right now. How long that lasts, we'll see. But Vanderbilt and Kentucky are the other Tennessee opponents. Obviously, one in-state, one a border game, probably bigger for Kentucky than it is for Tennessee. But I do like the fact that, and we knew it was going to happen, that we guarantee that Texas and Texas A&M play each other every year.
So Texas plays Oklahoma, and they play A&M, which obviously it ain't easy, but you know what? The fans want those games.
LSU and Alabama are not permanent opponents of one another. That caught me a little bit by surprise. But if they would have done that for Alabama, it would have been Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU. And to what David spoke about, how they tried to make this as competitive or equally competitive for everyone, that would have been a hell of a 3 games for the Crimson Tide.
And while nationally people will scoff at this, but Tuscaloosa and Starkville are 70 miles apart, and they're connected by a highway. They've been playing one another for a very long time. And so when you look at Alabama's 3 games, you go Auburn, obviously, Tennessee, kind of a pretty big border game. More so for Tennessee these days, but okay. And then Alabama gets Mississippi State. Well, I mean, to an old school Bama fan, they're like, yeah, it's Starkville. You know, we're 70 miles apart. They come here, we go there. We've been doing that since, you know, the Bear.
And when you look at like Ole Miss, obviously the Egg Bowl, but Ole Miss has a long-standing rivalry with LSU. That game will be one of their permanent games. They did give Ole Miss Oklahoma as their 3rd. So, you know, Oklahoma, as we mentioned Texas, but Oklahoma gets Texas, Ole Miss, and Missouri. Or Missouri, just depending on how you want to say it.
Right. They also seemingly took a look at the map, I think, and tried to say, if your state touches that state, we should make sure that we can keep as many games as possible. Like Georgia's playing Auburn, Florida, and South Carolina. Now, yes, Georgia also touches Tennessee, but you can only have 3.
But Athens to Columbia is not a long drive.
It's shorter than Athens to Knoxville.
And trust me, I've been to that game in both stadiums quite a few times. South Carolina loves playing Georgia. It's a big deal to their fan base. It really is. I don't know if it's as big in Athens, but in Columbia, it's a big deal. Now, for Florida and Georgia, Texas and Oklahoma, that whole 5 home game thing gets thrown out the window because they have the neutral site game, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Georgia. So they'll be a 4-4 every year. And when the road games at Tech or the road games at Florida State, you know how that'll work out with the home schedule being a little more lackadaisical and probably a couple of gimmies on the Gators and or the Dogs schedule.
One of the first things that jumped out to me, because we did the game often, Jerry Jones is from Arkansas and now obviously has made Dallas home. And Jera has paid both these schools handsomely to play their annual game in Jera's place, Arkansas and A&M. They're not on each other's permanent. So, okay. I mean, couldn't keep everything together. Mark, I would argue, and listen, this Vandy moment in time here may end with Pavia and him leaving after this year, although if he keeps winning lawsuits, I don't know. He might play there till he's Winky's age. But, I mean, Vandy's got Auburn, Mississippi State, and then obviously you got to give him the in-state Tennessee game. Okay. I mean, if Vandy's actually going to be legit, that's manageable. Auburn's a 1-score game, right, from a point spread standpoint. Then you got the rivalry with Tennessee. So,
one Gator fan or one Gator person says Gators' permanent opponents are lame. UK is irrelevant. Billy can't beat them, LOL. Would much prefer LSU and Tennessee as permanent. Now, another Gator fan and season ticket holder says, I love it. The permanent opponents were not who I would have picked, but playing every team every other year and hosting every team every 4 years, I love it. The Gators have only hosted Bama twice since 2007. No more long gaps like that.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
I think it's a great point. With the strength of that conference, with Bama, Texas, Oklahoma, the Gators are going to get good home games. Their home schedule will be far better than it was when it was an East-West thing.
Mark, I remember in 2018, the year before LSU had their magical season, Georgia went to LSU. Georgia hadn't been to LSU in like 15 years. And the Georgia fans were fired up. They were like, oh, absolutely. We're excited about this game. They traveled in big numbers.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, we don't get to come here. This is
my kid went to
awesome.
that game. He was fired up. That was a big deal.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah.
But it was shocking to many of us. It's like, how could 2 SEC perennial contenders go this many years without playing each other at a certain location? So I got to admit, though, that same season ticket holder who's thrilled that he's going to be able to get, the rotisserie. But man, oh man, you never get Georgia at home. And then one year you'll get Kentucky and the other year you'll get South Carolina. No LSU game on the schedule. I mean, imagine, Mark, a year in which the Florida State game's on.
No, I know it could be tough, but I understand where they're coming from, that the opportunity to play everyone a little more often appeals to the Gator fan. Miller and Moulton, a couple of poll questions for you today. One baseball on the MVP, the other about the Chiefs and Ravens. We'll talk NFL with one Pat Kirwan. He is next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters, floormeisters.com.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Morning, Pat.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Just ending the week of games, and the next week of games will be here. I don't know, 48 hours.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I know it's a division game. I'll watch Thursday night, but I don't have a lot of. I'm not like Sunday night. I that was just a boring football game. I went to bed at halftime.
Yeah.
But last night was fun.
Yes, it was. And remember when Detroit lost to Green Bay, and it was like, they lost their coordinators, they got injuries in the offensive line, Ragnar retired. Wait a second, they're awesome.
Well, I said it on the air a bunch. I've been critical of their linebackers for a couple of years. I thought their linebackers were great last night.
I think Jack Campbell, is that it? Yeah, he is going to be. I just listened. Jimmy lives in Detroit, and he hangs around with a couple of those guys. He said the guy is in complete control. There's nothing that baffles him. There's no strength changes, motion. There's nothing. And he can handle the whole thing mentally, which ultimately puts everyone in a good spot.
Well, and also that was a great Brad Holmes move. They moved down that year. They switched spots with somebody and still got Jack Campbell. That was a coup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he's done a great job getting
It
players
proves
up.
it takes guys a couple of years to figure it out, too.
Yeah. which kind of leads me to Chicago. I don't want to overreact to the win, but it's kind of impressive that Ben was so rough on that team all last week. I mean, he was no holds barred in public, and they responded properly to it. Then I heard from one of the guys that every day after practice, when the team goes in, he stays out there right face to face with Caleb and goes through everything he did wrong at practice. And he said to him, "You want to be coached hard? I won't embarrass you in front of anyone. Here's the 15 things you did wrong today." And the kid's digging it. He's accepting it. We'll see. But plus Minnesota looked pretty darn good with the man from 2 weeks ago. He's really.
I was glad to see Wentz leading up to the game actually show a little bit of himself, in which he said, "Listen, I grew up in North Dakota. This was the team I grew up rooting for. I went to games at the Met. I had so-and-so's jersey." He goes, "This is when I run out of this tunnel knowing I'm going to start. This is, kind of what I dreamed of doing. This is going to mean a lot to me."
Yep. And it also, for me personally, since he was such a disaster, the last time I sat down with him, I actually stopped the interview, clicked off everything and said, "You got to relax. All right. This is a layup interview. It's easy. We're going to talk football. And you just got to stop twitching and stuff," because they were videotaping it for the website. And we started over. And I said, "Burn all that. Stop. We're not using it." And then we started over. And at the end of it, he said, Did I look that bad?" I said, "You looked horrible. You were bouncing up and down. You were nervous as could be. You were afraid of the next thing Jim or I were going to ask you." He goes, "Thanks a lot, guys." That was when he was in Washington. He was a disaster. So to see him, the way he handled himself at the game, I was like, he might have grown up.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home in the 239, the 904, and in Tampa, St. Pete. Final hour in Port Charlotte, Venice, Lake City, Live Oak, and surrounding areas. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 2 poll questions for you to vote on. How about American League MVP? We go with the guy who's going to win the home run and RBI title, or are we going with the best player in the league who's also going to lead the league in hitting and runs scored? Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge? Who's your vote? And then, how about a pair of 1 and 2 teams that are playing each other on Sunday? So one of them's going to be 1 and 3. Your thoughts on the Ravens and Chiefs? Are they still both making the playoffs, or are you jumping off somebody's bandwagon or both of their wagons? Vote accordingly. Pat Kirwan, kind enough to join us once again. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7, Saturdays 2 to 5, and Sundays, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat, were you dressed as if it was 1975 in the studio on Sunday?
You know what? I would have, but on Saturday I cleaned out my garage and threw everything out. It was perfect timing. I put a dumpster in the yard and I said to my wife, "Let's fill this up with the garage." And a lot of stuff went. The next day, I was very happy not to have any kind of costume. Who was going to beat Coward? Did you see him?
Yes.
I didn't even recognize him. And I was standing with him like,
I was impressed that he did it. All right, Pat, I happened to listen to the beginning of your show yesterday, and you were a little angry because people were being negative. So I'll avoid that. Tell me the thing that you thought most highly of, team, player, whatever, from week 3.
Yeah, just a thought first on the other thing. I spent most of the day with the TV on and the radio on, getting ready for Monday. And after a while, I just said, "This is ridiculous. These people, all they want to talk about, they couldn't acknowledge the greatness of the 2 block field goals. As an example, they had to go tell everyone how terrible the protection was. And this went on and on and on. And there was like no good. Oh, it was the worst week of football. The leagues, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go look for all the good things. So, of course, to answer your question, the teams that start with the letter C, Carolina, Cleveland, and Chicago. I had a great talk with Todd Bowles about that. He goes, well, we don't have that problem here. We respect everybody. He goes, maybe in the media they don't, but we understand that Carolina. We know Cleveland's defense. We know Chicago. So it was fun to see those teams that were supposed to get destroyed win games, which is why I think I like the NFL more than college football. I think when you're a bad college team, upsets are rare. In the NFL, these kind of things can happen any week. And last week was great to see teams that were backs to the wall already respond the way they did. It was fun watching. I mean, for Carolina to shut out Atlanta, it was hard talking to Raheem yesterday. It's one thing to get beat by a division opponent. It's another to get shut out. And he was pretty down. The dumps fired his receiver coach last night. So, yeah, those things. I love that. And I love some of the new names. Jordan Mason running for Minnesota. Love that. Trey Tucker, even though they lost, great day for him. And Caleb, who at least when I was hanging up leading the league in touchdown passes. So I got to go check. I'm sure Goff or somebody passed him. But it was fun to see the kid. And I know how much pressure. First off, I said this. Friday and Saturday, I was getting Chicago calls calling for Ben Johnson's head. I was like mad as could be about that. I go, this is the problem with your fans. You've been trained to say, let's quit. Let's get rid of the coach. Let's get rid of the quarterback. I always believe that a young head coach should get 5 years. When I said that to one guy, he said, 5 years? He's going to get 17 games. I said, well, that's the problem. If the owners listen to you, you'll be bad again for the next 10 years. So I was pretty much on that case all day yesterday and probably again today.
Is there any significance to what the Lions did last night besides the W in the standings, in your opinion?
Yeah. I said this to Mark before we went on the air. I said, when they lost to Green Bay, it was like, well, they lost their coordinators. Ragnow retired. We had the short list of excuses, but you know who didn't listen to it? Dan Campbell. He doesn't listen to any of that stuff. And right after that game, there was some resolution by that team, coaches, etc., and they play to their strengths, and they got a lot of strengths. They can beat you running the ball. They can beat you passing. The protection was terrific. And then the defense is, and this will be the strange name, but it's led by Jack Campbell, who I said to you, David, before we went on, that guy's in complete control of that defense. You can do anything with him at the helm because he can change and adjust everything. So, yeah, they're back in the saddle. And while Green Bay was on a pedestal and Packer fans were telling me they were already getting hotel rooms at the Super Bowl, they lost, and the other three teams in the division won. So the race tightens up.
When you look at Baltimore, and obviously they've lost to two quality opponents in Detroit and Buffalo, but what, if anything, last night Henry had, and I take the fumble aside, they didn't run outside of the first drive. They didn't run the ball effectively. Are there things when you look at Baltimore that from last year to this year are different in a bad way? Or is this just, hey, they lost two heavyweight matchups against two heavyweight teams. They'll be fine.
I think they'll win their division. So I'm not worried about that. Yeah, but 7 sacks and maybe it was a little haunting to me watching the game last night of what happens in the playoffs to them, and what happens to Lamar. And now I'm going to Kansas City this week, and now the next game for them, no mercy here. They're going to be playing the Chiefs, who have their own problems. So it's. I mean, they're not a perfect, and the whole Matabuke thing, he might be going to IR too. So we'll see what happens with him. Head, neck, or back. You usually don't want to have him trying to play on those things. You want to make a full recovery. So without Matabuke, how'd that run defense look?
225 yards for the Lions. That's how it looked.
Yeah. So between the run defense without the big guy in the middle. We kind of see this. There's a couple, like if Chris Jones is out, I wonder what they'd look like with run defense. Even Pittsburgh without Derek Harmon, because they really needed a younger third guy in that front three. And when he wasn't here, it was terrible. Now, it didn't get great yet. He's only a rookie, for God's sake. But you always see when the big dog on the defensive line goes down. We'll see what happens in San Francisco. When I hear, we're going to rotate players in Nick's place, good luck. You don't have guys that can rotate. You could use bodies, but they're not going to be the same. So I think the run defense for Baltimore and then protecting Lamar, I got to go back and really, really watch the coverages. So when he gets sacked that many times, he's holding the ball for a reason. It's usually because he can't find someone.
Well, they played a lot of man, and occasionally they played man under and too deep. Okay, but they went after Lamar, and you're right, Pat. I had somebody else text me and say, watching that game reminds me of how teams attack the Ravens in the playoffs, which is they attack Lamar.
Yeah, and so the rule of thumb is this is a league unwritten rule. You never play man under too deep against athletic runaround quarterbacks, because when you release four players deep,
right,
what happens? You take 6 defenders out of the game. 4 guys covering them in the 2 deep. That's 6. And now what happens? Now they only have 5 left, and there's enough helmet on a helmet that you can open it up for the runner. So most guys would never play it. Now, if they're playing it, and forget the spy business, Lamar can beat anybody in the league that's standing there waiting for him. So I want to go study it, because they've got something going on that really confused them. So yeah, but it's exactly how it felt, and I'm sure for you guys it felt like the playoff games. Not good.
No doubt. All right, let's talk a little Tampa. I know you talked to Todd Bowles yesterday. It wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but Baker does it again. I don't know how long Evans, if he's going to be out any significant time, getting hurt. They're the walking wounded right now, but they're managing to win games. And hopefully that line will get some reinforcements at some point.
Yeah, well, there's a team to overcome one of the comments we've already talked about. Kalijah Cansey's done. He was a big factor for their front on defense.
Yep.
And so this is the Todd Bowles style, like no excuses. And I went over with him yesterday. So he's got to run the 1 minute and 48 drill to win the game. Baker was great. I get it. And he's won all these games in the last minute or two, the last possession. But I went over every receiver that caught balls in that drive since Evans wasn't there. Godwin hasn't played yet. And you started looking. I said, tell me about these guys. And we went through every name. And he said, we run full 2-minute drills with everyone every week. We don't just have it with the starters. So all those guys have been used to running 2-minute drills with Baker, and Baker knows how to play with them. That 31-yard reception right off the bat on the first play, it was fun listening to him talk about, and he called his receiver room the deepest room on the roster. He goes, we're pretty deep over there. In fact, we're the deepest. That's our best position. And he goes, it doesn't surprise me that those kids all came through, because Baker is so demanding. I think they run the 2-minute drill instead of running sprints at the end of practice every day.
So the Bucs, and we got about a minute or so till our first break. So the Bucs have won 3 games by 6 points, and then obviously there's the Eagles, who haven't been flawless. This is an interesting matchup as to where these two teams are at this point of the season.
Yes, very much so. I wish Tristan Wirfs was back so Graham could go back to center, because those 2 big horses inside are always an issue for them. I don't think that Tampa can keep winning this way. They're going to have their issues. They're going to win the division. The rest of the division looks like a disaster right now after looking at Atlanta. But I don't think they could win this kind of game. And Philadelphia, for all their world championship and everything else, an undefeated season so far, there's things that have to get better. Saquon's not running like he did last year.
No.
I think when Jalen has to throw to win, it's kind of shaky. to say the least. So they've got things they got to fix, but I think Tampa's got enough wounded warriors and too many of these late wins. I'd be surprised. Now, would I love it? Yeah, no cheering against Philly, but I get the kick out of watching Todd have no excuses. He has no excuses when his team's playing a game.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Well, I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, you cracked me up listening to the beginning of the show yesterday.
Well, I was hoping that 2 guys in particular were listening, because if they have any kind of conscience, they knew I was talking about them.
Fair enough.
And
Fair enough.
And it's every week. The only thing one guy ever does is tell us what was bad about the weekend. And he doesn't know anything about football. When he says things like, my son, who's never in organized football, could throw a better ball than that. It's one thing to say it once, but he says it almost every week. And he can never see the good in anything, because that's not a story to him.
Well, and you're right. And we do, but it was, and I was locked into Denver and the Chargers far more than I watched. I had the Bears and Cowboys on, but I wasn't paying a hell of a lot of attention because I really wanted to watch the other game, and that game was, that was like 3 different games, for crying out loud.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but we talked about that last week. They got the 4:25 window with the Cowboys because it's the Cowboys. I'm so tired of watching that lousy football team.
Man, that defense is atrocious, Pat.
Yeah.
And I know Caleb played great, and I'll give him all the props in the world, but Russell Wilson looked like, he was the best quarterback in the league the week before. So it's tough to take a performance against Dallas very seriously right now.
Absolutely. But of course, the league and the networks force the Cowboys on us because they have a big audience. You got to stop watching bad football. We had a better game on our channel, and it's not about our channel. It's like, okay, which game is going to provide me better football? The Cowboys are not doing that. I like watching Dak, but once he lost CeeDee Lamb, I didn't even like watching that part. So it is what it is. That whole conversation we just had about the undefeated. How about David might remember, because I can't. David, do you remember anyone? It's a hard question. Being 3-0 and beating your all division opponents to do it.
like the
I don't
Chargers.
even remember anyone getting 3 in a row. Like,
Well,
to have
right.
3 division games in a row.
Exactly. How many teams have been scheduled 3 division games to start the season? Plus, I think the Bucs to win 3 games by 6 points, in which they were trailing in the fourth quarter all 3 times. I think it's only been done like one other time since 1950, or I thought I read. I mean, yeah, we've had a couple of remarkable 3-0s here.
Yep. And I know the Colts, again, who they played. I know they beat Miami and they beat Denver and they beat Tennessee. But when you start looking at Daniel Jones and where he's at, what he's doing, and then that Jonathan's running the ball great, the defense, it's hard to name 4 guys on the defense, but they're playing pretty hard. So I like watching them. I hope they run away with that division. While Houston can't even figure out how to score, averaging 3 points a quarter. How bad is that? 38 points.
And the thing is, Jacksonville should be 3-0, Pat. That's the other thing. Jacksonville should be 3-0. They blew that game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I like Liam. I think he's kind of brash and he's a little bit of a tough guy in his own way. And I absolutely think the quarterback needs that guy just to grow up. But I like what the Colts are.
Liam's been he's been Dan Campbell aggressive, and I know Dan, set the tone, and you could argue that Jacksonville's culture needed it too, but Pat, we think he's been borderline reckless with his 4th down decision making. I mean, I thought the decision against Houston was asinine. 10-10. Houston's got 150 yards of offense through 3.5 quarters.
And 50 or 60 of it was on one play, on a broken coverage.
Punt the ball. I'm sorry. Passing on field goals and punts is driving me crazy. But it's the world we live in.
Uh-oh, we just lost Pat. That's no bueno.
And now he's back.
I don't know what happened to that. I'm here.
Yeah, we got you.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat and all our guests join us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Pat, what do you make of the Jags so far? They could easily be 3-0. They should have beaten Cincinnati. They didn't. I didn't love the performance against Houston, but Houston's got a good defense. Trevor's made at least one bad throw every game that's nearly cost them. When you look at the Jags, what do you see?
I do see an improving team, number one. I see a team that most of the time can at least force you to defend the run. Etienne and those guys are doing pretty good. I thought the decision-making of the quarterback, he seems to be more aggressive and accurate. I was disappointed in his career to date, but I think Liam's good for him. The question I have is, can they win? Like, I'm with you, and they should have won that game, but they didn't win that game. And how many more times is that going to be said by us? 6 times this year? 7 times this year? Because I think they're a work in progress, and I don't think they're fully there yet. So I'm a little leery of them, but do I think of them as a team that could get to a wild card? No, not yet. I don't, even though I agree that they should be 3-0. I think we can figure out there have been a lot of 3-0s that fizzled, but I love the arrows pointing up and the arrows pointing down for Houston, and I think consequently they should be a respectable team this season, and a year away from being better than that. So, like where they are.
What did Raheem say to you, the head coach, Raheem Morris of the Falcons? I mean, Pat, anybody can lose a road division game. Teams don't get beat 30-0 in the NFL very often, and supposed good teams don't get beat 30-0 in the NFL, hardly at all. Then he fires his wide receiver coach,
Yeah.
not a play caller, but a wide receiver coach. I mean, Pat, the last 36 hours in Falcons land looks alarming.
It does look alarming, and he was obviously down, but he came on. I've had coaches that are, when you get shut out, the PR guy calls and says he's not available this week. I've had that before, and I would have understood if he did that, but he's not like that with me. And he came right on, and we talked about it, and I said, let's go all the way back to Tuesday game planning meetings. Yeah, we felt good about our plan. We know these guys, they know us, and we were all set. I said, all right, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He goes, we had really good practices. I said, well, I've learned the hard way that good practices don't always equal good games. And then he said the game started to get away from us early. And so it was, for me, it's about Penix. He's running the show, and he's got to turn the tide on that stuff. And he didn't do it. And then it did slip away completely. He was really down. I don't like beating guys up when they get shut out like that, but I'm sure that in that building there's a lot of issues going on about everything.
Denver's 1-2, Pat. They maybe, that, I don't know, that was a wild penalty call that gave Indianapolis the game in week 1. It looked like they had the Chargers on the ropes in week 3, but they've let both slip away, and defensively they don't appear to be what they were a year ago. Nix has had moments, but in a key spot there, he goes 3 and out. When you look at Denver, are you at all worried about that team right now?
I'm worried about them from the sense of the division and how, I don't think Kansas City is going to fall apart. The Chargers are not just 3-0; they beat all division opponents. So I'm worried about them in that sense. I still think they should win enough games like they did last year to get to the playoffs as a wild card. I think they're very capable of being that team. But I think we all, and I can't include you guys, but I can include me and Jim and a lot of others, we all overhyped Denver. We just anointed them as the team to take Kansas City down. And I used to hear that from the Miami group when they started to get good and Tua was young and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden it's like they can beat Buffalo. Well, they haven't beaten Buffalo. They're not going to beat Buffalo. And I feel sometimes we kind of created a monster with Denver as well. And it's, they got a good defense. Bo Nix is a great play. Everybody slow down. He's not as good as the quarterback at the Chargers. He never was. He may never be. He's not as good as the quarterback at Kansas City. He never was, and he may never be. But he might be good enough just to be in the battle. But I think we rushed to an exciting judgment too early on those guys.
The injuries. You tell me if any of these injuries that you think will ultimately derail the team. Not necessarily the next 2 to 3 weeks, but ultimately 4 months from now, we're going to go, yeah, they just couldn't recover from Nick Bosa, the Niners, Najee Harris of the Chargers, CeeDee Lamb for a month. Could the Cowboys, we don't know how they're going to survive the next 4 weeks without CeeDee Lamb. James Conner for the Cardinals. Just curious, any of these injuries that you look at and go, oh, yeah, now I'm concerned.
Well, I am concerned about Nick Bosa's. I think that's going to, and they're beat up anyway, but he's the leader and he's the playmaker. Remember how things looked last year when TJ Watt was playing on one leg. They just couldn't win a game. I have a feeling San Francisco's in a lot of trouble. James Conner, that's going to wipe out Arizona. He's the heart and soul of that thing. We went through all the numbers on this show last week. You give the guy the ball 20 times, and they had a very good record. So those two are the ones. Najee Harris, not so much. They like their young running back. They'll just get a backup for him. Najee wasn't doing that much. Najee's not being on the Steelers is what hurts the Steelers. He was the lunch pail inside 3.5 yards of carry. They don't have that guy. So when I watched them, I realized the Najee Harris, did you replace talent for talent? No. You don't have a guy that's going to keep it kind of honest inside. Ugly yards, but important yards. But the other two are the biggest ones. Kenny Moore, they went out and got Mike Hilton, so Kenny Moore is, the nickel back there. He'll be back. But a calf injury, I talked to Dr. Chow about him yesterday. Kenny Moore could be unavailable for 7 or 8 weeks. With these calf things, they don't heal fast. Other ones, the Lamb thing, well, Pickens, did you want to make a lot of money next year? The door's wide open. They're going to be thrown to you a lot.
Pat, there's a couple of 2-1 teams in the NFC that we haven't, and I don't just mean this show, but I mean people haven't talked about. Minnesota, really nice win last week. Seattle got everything done early. They've beaten 2 bad opponents. When you look at those teams, are we sleeping on either or both of the Vikings and the Seahawks?
I love that you asked this question because Wentz showed me plenty. Not just him personally, but that the team's resiliency, the coach's ability to get a quarterback ready. He got Darnold ready last year because we all knew that McCarthy was going to be the starter on opening day if he was not injured. So he has to turn around and make Sam the starter. We all saw the results of that. Wentz is there 2 weeks. He's got that. So I think we are sleeping on the Vikings. And there's a reason to sleep on them. There's a team called Detroit and a team called Green Bay. So psychologically, we put them in third place all the time. Maybe they're more than that. Seattle, I'm going to talk to their coach today. They are just, it starts with the coach. Fundamentally sound guy. Not biting off more than he can chew. Trying to just play to their strengths and slowly but surely add things, but try to be fundamentally sound. I love talking to that guy. And he's got a great sense of humor about even mistakes. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Did you see how we looked? Oh, my goodness. We got to fix that. And then he chuckles. Like,
Right.
I kind of like guys that are even keeled, and he is. So,
All right.
like him.
Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Move of the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show, joining us courtesy of Pinchers.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
If you're a business who targets men, please know there is no better and more economical way to reach your target audience than us at Miller and Moulton. So let us help you make money. You can reach out to Mark at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton on X or text us at 21,000. We have a proven product, a good reputation, and lots of quality segments that we can attach your company's name to. Miller and Moulton, we're like that old pizza box. You've had the rest, now try the best. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
David, you are right about trying to keep Golesh. They are going to have to, if they don't throw a lot of money at him soon, this is going to be over. There's not a job out there that his name doesn't come up for. Doesn't mean he's going to take them, but they obviously can outspend South Florida.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
I really should, when the segment starts, have my mic on. I don't know if you've thought about that, Mark. The Radio 101, just, I'll give myself some advice, and maybe others out there, when they do a show, they can remember that as well. When the segment starts, make sure you have your mic on. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Not one, but two poll questions today. And one is baseball. And it didn't happen during the baseball hour either. Mark Miller inspired by the pretty interesting American League MVP debate between the best player in the league, which is Aaron Judge, who's going to lead the league in hitting and runs scored, despite missing 2 weeks because of injury, and a historic season by a switch hitter, by a catcher, and looks as if is going to lead his team to a division title, which they have not won in 24 years in Cal Raleigh. Oh, yeah, and he's leading the league in homers and RBIs. So who you voting for MVP? That's our one question. And the other
Cal Raleigh getting 69% of the vote. I think that's a anti-Yankee bias right there. I don't know who's going to win. I'd vote for Raleigh. I think Judge is going to get it. If I were to bet, I'd bet on Judge.
Agreed. I would vote for Raleigh as well. Just like, and I know, look, who's the best pitcher in the National League, and what is the Cy Young Award? It's supposed to be for the best pitcher in the National League. All right, it's Paul Skeens. I get it. Yeah, the guy from Milwaukee's leading the league in wins, and they're the best team in the league. I mean, when does winning game, and his ERA is 2.6? I mean, Skeens is 2. I mean, is it that much better? He's a 500 pitcher. It's not his fault, but I don't know, 17 wins on the best team in the National League versus 10 wins on the last place team. I don't know. But Skeens is going to win the Cy Young going away. All right. There you go. That's our question. Also, Ravens and Chiefs are both 1-2, and they're playing each other Sunday. So one of these two heavyweights is going to be 1-3. So are you jumping off either team's wagon? And if so, which one? That's our poll question.
Most are saying Ravens for what it's worth. 48% of the vote say the Ravens will make the playoffs. 36% of the vote says both will make the playoffs. 11% neither. And in just picking one, less than 5% picking the Chiefs over the Ravens. Very, very interesting.
Well, doesn't that mean that most of our audience thinks the Ravens are going to go to Kansas City then and win Sunday?
That's exactly what I would take from that.
I don't know how you conclude anything other than that. So, you know. By the way, Alex Golesh is going to join us on the show tomorrow. 8 o'clock, the very much in-demand head coach of the South Florida Bulls, Alex Golesh, is going to join us at 8 tomorrow. Hell of a show tomorrow. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins. But Alex Golesh is going to join us at 8 o'clock. Mark brought Golesh up during the break, for those that don't follow us on Twitch and YouTube. And did you read the profile that was done on Golesh in The Athletic leading up to the Miami game?
I did not.
I would encourage everyone, if you didn't read it, to read it. Now, sometimes it's all about the Benjamins. Period, end of sentence. Higher profile job, more money. You know, how many times does somebody turn down higher profile, more money gigs to stay where they are? You can count them on two hands over the years, right? Big time football, basketball. It just doesn't happen. Here's an interesting part to the equation that I did not know in the profile. First off, even though we talk to him every other week for the last 2 years on this show during the season, did you know his background? That he and his family came over from Russia and they had like $100 on them?
Right. And didn't know the language, obviously knew nothing about football and all of those things. Yes, I don't know if it was that profile or something else, but I had read recently that he had immigrated from Russia, so I was aware of that.
So now, obviously, he and his family deserve an amazing amount of credit. I mean, imagine you and your parents and one of your siblings being dropped in a foreign country where you don't know the language with like $100 and the clothes on your back and say, "Here, go make it." So they, amazing what they've done. His parents have moved to Tampa. Apparently, they're very close, as you would expect. And the whole family's together. Now, obviously, if you move to Tampa, I know you could all get up and you could move somewhere else. But apparently the parents have retired. Where do people retire to, Mark?
Well, Florida and Arizona seem to be two highly desirable places for those that retire, David. Yes.
Right. And the Arizona State and the Arizona jobs aren't going to open up soon, so we think. So I read the profile and I thought to myself, okay, this is naive, hard on his sleeves, Moulton, reading this story. Okay, and I'm getting drawn in, I'm getting hooked in. But it got me thinking, oh, okay, yeah, there are other jobs out there, bigger, offer more. But if you're happy and your family's happy, and
clap your hands. No, sorry.
And it's not about the Benjamins because it's never been about the Benjamins for you and your family. I mean, even in Tampa, St. Pete, $3 to $5 million a year goes a long way. I mean, are we sure that South Florida can't put the proverbial, here's 7 years, $40 million.
David,
here.
They probably could. But let's be a little more realistic. Because it's not just paying Alex Golesh what they need to pay Alex Golesh to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
If you make that commitment for the coach, then you have to look and just double that commitment. Whatever the number is, you're going to have to do about the same number to try to keep a staff around him. Then you're going to have to add another half of that to be a player in the NIL world. And I don't believe, and maybe they do, maybe there's someone at South Florida that has the money like the guy at Texas Tech or the folks at SMU. I don't think so. But you know what I'm getting at. To compete at the highest level, it's more today, and we all know this, than just paying the coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's paying the staff. It's having the NIL department,
Mark, we all know
finance enough to do it.
Right.
And
we all know.
But if you want to be great as a coach, you need all of those things. And whether it's Virginia Tech or Florida or whomever else is going to come knocking on his door from a Power 4, they're going to be able to offer things that I don't believe South Florida can offer.
Well, they have to be able to. And I don't know if they have to be able to in the next 60 days. I don't know if you can make a promise where give me 12 months. Okay, trust me, you'll have people coming for you next year, Alex. You will. You know that. We know that. Okay, hell, you could sign the deal we put in front of you. It still doesn't mean, just like recruits, it doesn't mean people aren't going to come calling because they'll be able to offer more than what we can offer you. And a quote-unquote bigger job, even if you sign what we put in front of you.
And then the other part of this is once you get good at the level that South Florida is trying to get good at and appears that they are well on their way, keeping your players is even harder. He may be committed to Tampa for a while. That doesn't mean the 18, 19-year-old that's doing a hell of a job for him isn't going to go get all the money he can get. I mean, you know how the deck is stacked against the Bulls. And you and I have been rooting for them since Jim Levitt was the coach. So this isn't
Absolutely
Johnny come lately for Miller and Moulton. We've been in South Florida's corner for a long time. And we've thought that they were someone that the ACC would grab at some point.
And you mentioned Virginia Tech, and I'm guessing the reason you mentioned Virginia Tech obviously a little over a week ago fired their football coach, and while they picked up a win against a lesser school over the weekend, yesterday they very publicly announced that they are committing $229 million towards athletics, with much of it going to football over the next 4 years, by the way. So, to do the math, that's like $57 million a year, and they're going to commit most of it to football. In other words, we're tired of sucking at football. This is important to us. And obviously, if you're Virginia Tech, how would you not call the guy in Tampa?
I mean, you'll call the guy in Columbia first, but if he says no, because obviously Beamer's ties of coach, there's dad, all that stuff, that's probably their first choice. I don't know. Would you leave South Carolina to go back to Virginia Tech?
No, for a couple of reasons. All right. First off, as we've talked about, it's a great fan base. Money's not a problem in South Carolina. I mean, Dawn Staley doesn't have a problem putting together the best program in her sport. I mean, they've got facilities, by the way, that in the last 15 years, South Carolina has invested heavily in facilities. They've cleaned up the area around the stadium. No. Great fan base. Great fan base. My goodness, you win 8 games there a year. They'll retire. They'll build something for you. No, I wouldn't. Plus his dad, you're following his dad's footsteps.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
All right.
I'm
just now, to me, the Florida dilemma is the biggest problem. Because if the parents have already retired to Florida, well, Gainesville's only 120 miles up the road. I mean, that's a fly in my ointment here. Parents can still stay in Florida. Hell, they can still stay where they're living now if you really want to get to it. So the Florida thing's a problem for me, Mark, that I'm having a little trouble working on behalf of the South Florida Bulls athletic department as I am.
The only, and I know there are a lot of Florida fans that are already looking at Golesh. I wonder if Strickland can hire someone from a non-Power 4 school, if they can go that route again. I don't know if the people that are the money behind Florida will want that, David.
And that's a very valid point. There's 2 things here. A, Billy Napier had never beaten the Gators when he had been hired. All right. And B, what if, because the winner of the the winner of the American is going to the playoff. And what if it's the Bulls? Okay. And you got to figure they're now going to seriously contend in that conference. I mean, you're really not going to hire a guy who just took a team to the playoff? You haven't sniffed one of these in a while.
No, I understand. And that's a lot of ifs. Because look at Tulane, even though they got dusted by Ole Miss, still has a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis still has a good football team.
Yep, just
given a gift by Arkansas at the end of that game, but they still have a good football team. So there's a lot to be done by the Bulls. But Alex Golesh on the show tomorrow at 8 a.m. Looking forward to talking to the South Florida Bull head coach on Miller and Moulton.
So just wanted to go down that road a little bit. Because we're obviously, when we have him on tomorrow, we're not going to ask him about other jobs. I mean,
not even close. It will not come up.
No.
We'd like to have him back on the show.
Exactly. And
that's a good way to never get him back.
And needless to say, he's a little more in demand now than he has been the last 2 years. I'm glad they just continue to take my emails and calls.
No doubt. Persistence pays. We've only been working on the coach since about April.
Correct. Mm-hmm. It was almost as if they sensed they were going to beat Boise and the Gators out of the chute, because they're like, yeah, some of these media commitments we committed to, we needed that when we were building the program. We're there now. Miller and Moulton, we need Miller and Moulton. I don't know. The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton's next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, your home for all the football and baseball that September provides, plus a nightly food special. Got bingo and trivia Tuesdays and Thursdays, live music Fridays, karaoke Saturdays. Never mind the fact that Shoeless Joe's is going to celebrate Grandparents' Day, National Hot Dog Day, National Cheeseburger Day, all in the month of September. Food and drink specials during every NFL game. Shoeless Joe's, the official home for Ohio State football. Shoeless Joe's, good food, good times, good sports in the Doubletree by Hilton. Bell Tower Shops, Fort Myers.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters, floormeisters.com.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Logic Man, that's not true. He went to the Elite Eight at USC. Left Twix, I mean, you mean a head coaching job, right? Yeah, sure. Napier will get a head coaching job, but it'll be in the Sun Belt. It'll be in Conference USA. You know, it'll be something like that. Logic Man, I think it was 21. It was the year that it was the year, I believe, that Baylor and Gonzaga played for the Natty. Because I thought it was the Zags who beat them. And then the Zags and UCLA in the Final Four played that epic game.
I think that's a joke, Left Twix. First off, what's he done to deserve a better job at the Division I level? Florida doesn't need money.
No,
That's not the problem.
No,
That's
coaching.
not the problem.
Coaching's the problem.
And from all accounts, even, the people that cover the sport really well say Napier that the organizational process is done right. They're getting players. He's just not good on Saturdays. His play calling's awful.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Your vote for American League MVP between Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. That's one of our poll questions. And couple of the AFC heavyweights, the Ravens and the Chiefs, off to 1-2 starts, and they're playing each other on Sunday. So one of them obviously going to be 1-3. I know they could tie, but come on. There's one of those a year in the NFL, tops, on average.
Be something if it was between those two on Sunday.
Yeah, it would.
For certain.
So, which team's wagon are you jumping off? One, the other, both, neither? That's our poll question. At that, Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X.
Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is 21,000. If you've never texted the show before, 21,000. The keyword you need to type in is Miller to 21,000, and then you can text as much as you would like. Would love to hear from you. David, a couple of people chiming in on our last topic. One saying, grass is not always greener on the other side. Ask Scott Frost. He got paid at Nebraska and is now back at UCF and admitted he should have never left. Might not be the same, but it's close. Another texter says, it'd be great to see South Florida do that, but I think David has rose-colored glasses on.
Two things. UCF, when Scott Frost left, was not in a Power 4. And there was no immediate pathway to one either. There was a hope for one, but there was no immediate pathway to one. And so that is a big distinction. Like if South Florida officials could pull Alex Golesh aside and say, listen, we're going to the ACC. This is what's going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months. We've had the conversations, blah, blah, blah. We're going. I mean, he could work it into the contract then. Okay, you get into a Power 4 by 2028, or else I can, get up and leave and I don't owe you anything.
But I don't foresee South Florida in the ACC anytime soon unless something else happens to blow up the ACC. Because they made their additions. Were they the right decisions? I don't think so. Because Stanford and Cal, I don't know what they really bring to the table. But South Florida doesn't have SMU money to buy their way in. And since the agreement has been made with the conference and Florida State and Clemson, the big boys in that conference aren't going to allow any new blood to disperse any more money to anybody but them. So
Right.
I don't see the path that I once could at least envision if the ACC was going to get blown up. Now, we'll get to the offseason, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of talk about the Big Ten rating the ACC for North Carolina and whomever else. But right now, and then when you look at the SEC, I think with their announcement of the 9-game schedule, the permanent opponents, and what they look at, there's actually some symmetry now, David, to the SEC scheduling. The 3 permanents, you're going to see everybody every 4th year at home. I mean, they've got it kind of set. And so I don't see the SEC banging on the door of North Carolina, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, or whomever to join that conference. I think at least, from the SEC standpoint, I don't see any reason or need for expansion, and I don't see any for the ACC either, not in the foreseeable future.
I may be alone with this thought, but then again, I've been saying it for a few years now. But it's more apparent to me now because of my experiences on Saturday with CBS Now covering the Big Ten. The Big Ten doesn't have enough marquee games week in, week out to satisfy their TV partners. They don't. I'll give you an example. Not this week, next week. Do you know the game? CBS, okay, this CBS, 3:30 on Saturday, is going to be televising UCLA. Right. Now, they're playing a top 3 team in the country in Penn State. But this is where
that game could be 56 to spit.
It could be. Yeah, absolutely. And yet, from a rating standpoint and this, that, and the other thing, it's better than their 2 or 3 alternatives. It really is. And I'm not going to bore you with that. But if I'm the Big Ten, now listen, I know next 5 years, the deal's done. It's kind of like the NBA and NBA ratings. They're just starting an 11-year, $76 billion deal. Does it really matter at this point if anybody watches? I mean, it does to the sponsors and the networks, and it doesn't to the league. Did I say 76 billion over 11 years? Do the math. Right. So, but there's been a lot of talk and there's a lot of unhappiness in the Big Ten Fox TV contract, which I know has 5 more years to run. But this year is evidence of there's not, like, you can say whatever you want about the NFL. And Mark, like this week in particular, you're not crazy about the Thursday night game. It is a division game.
No, it's just it's West Coast.
Right,
That's my East Coast bias. It's Arizona and Seattle, and I'm a little interested in the Seahawks, but whatever.
Right now, as it turns out, it's 2-2-1 teams also, and I get it. There's probably not going to be a ton of national interest in Seattle and Arizona. I get it, but it's a division game, and But now at 1:00, Bucs Eagles. First off, they got a game at 9:30 a.m. Eastern this week over in Europe between the Steelers and the Vikings. Then at 1:00, you're going to get Bucs Eagles. At the 4:00 window, you're going to get Chiefs Ravens. And in the 8 o'clock window, you're going to get Packers, Cowboys. And then there's a doubleheader on Monday night. Seemingly the NFL and, their teams cooperate by being very popular, very good, okay, can appease almost all of their networks week in, week out. The Big Ten can't do it. They can't come close. And that is why I believe Miami and Florida State are very much in play for the Big Ten. They need to produce a better, what is it again? TV show. They do. They're getting $1 billion a year from Fox, who then sub-licensing it out to CBS and NBC. $1 billion a year. And they are not providing a good product at all. Week in, week out for their 3 windows. They need 3 games a week. 3. Everything else can be hot garbage. They need 3 games a week. Fox would love it to be 4 so they get a Friday night game, or Big Ten Network, which they own over 60% of. But they need 3. And they can't do it. Hell, some weeks already, they haven't even produced 2.
Now, the early part of the season's largely because the Big Ten scheduling has not been very good. Outside of Ohio State and Texas, there haven't been many marquee games for the conference. And even when it wasn't one of their games because it was on ABC, it was in Alabama. When Wisconsin's fallen the way you look at the middle of the conference, whereas the middle of the SEC is, even Vanderbilt, for crying out loud, has gotten into the act. You look at the middle of the Big Ten, it's not good.
Meanwhile, what do we have going on right now? And I understand it's volatile. The Canes have been up and down for 20 years. And let's take a look at the last 2.5 years for Florida State. Could you be any more volatile than the Noles? But when the Canes and Noles are decent or better, you know what they bring? Eyeballs.
Lots and lots of eyeballs.
And
Miami more than Florida State.
Yes.
Maybe not here in the state of Florida, where, Miami seems to be mostly a South Florida thing, and the Noles and the Gators are statewide. But nationally, the Miami Hurricanes move the needle. They do. There aren't many college teams that move the needle. Ohio State is the one that moves it more than any other team.
And as was pointed out in our chat room, you can't blame the Big Ten for Indiana and Illinois blowout. No, you can't. But here's the other thing. If it was a terrific game, not many people would have watched. You know why? It's Indiana and Illinois.
Where's the brand? Where's the brand?
Where's the audience? If Chicago was watching the Illini, they wouldn't have had the record they've had for the last 40 years. So I'm telling you, the Big Ten's got a TV problem. It's not going to rear its ugly head for the next 5 years because the money's already committed. But everyone in the Big Ten is unhappy. The schools are unhappy with their TV deal, and the TV partners ain't happy with the TV deal either. They need better teams. Will it help if USC can return to being USC? Oh, yeah. It would be fantastic, and I don't know if it can happen, if Nebraska could be Nebraska again. They need more teams. The Wisconsins, the Minnesotas of the world ain't ever, for a television standpoint, Iowa, they ain't ever going to get it done to appease your TV partner. You know who would? Miami.
Yep.
And Florida State.
Because even Oregon, who has been an elite program now for what, 15 years, David?
Oh, yeah.
But they don't move the needle, if you know what I mean. It's
right.
We're not talking about a well-populated state. Washington, who was down, up, then down. Washington doesn't really move the needle. USC does. Would it help if UCLA actually had an athletic department? Probably. But they
So-
borrowed money from the university to pay their athletic department's debts. Who wants that job? They're a mess.
And to make it full circle, by me bringing up the Miami, Florida State Big Ten possibility, what would that then do? Open up spots in the ACC. And if you're the ACC, come on, South Florida has to be at the top of the index card for next teams up. Has to be.
Tampa market, growing fan base, on-campus stadium, they'd be on the list. There's no doubt. Miller and Moulton, it's the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
JDR, they did win at Duke. I mean, that's a legit win. It's a Power 4 win on the road, and Duke's okay. Solid even. I don't know about solid. Somewhere between okay and solid.
I'd go, I mean, you know, they got beat. Duke then gets beat by Tulane. I know it's the comparative game thing. Duke then gets beat by Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
Tulane can't stay on the field with Ole Miss.
Right. But Duke gets beat by Tulane, and then Duke takes it to NC State.
Well, NC State's no good.
Although weren't they 3-0? But you said it. You said it.
They could have lost every game they played.
And you said that. You said that they're paper mache, and I'm taking Duke. Right.
I mean, that was Virginia, East Carolina, and Wake Forest were the 3 wins.
Yeah, Puck Virtue, they're going to finish middle of the pack of the ACC. I mean, you can't tell me that's not a, quote, legit, unquote, win. I mean, because if that's the case, then, you're only counting like 15 wins a year as being legit. By the way, how about NBC's weekend? Ryder Cup by day. Saturday night, they got Oregon, Penn State. Sunday, they got Ryder Cup by day. And at night, they got Packers, Cowboys. And nobody's going to watch that.
Puck, we've spent 2 days saying Illinois doesn't deserve to be in the top 25. Come on now. Come on. You can't come at us with stuff that we've addressed on the show multiple times.
Do you guys listen to the show, or do you just talk to one another in the chat room?
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
But
I mean, we have said that South Florida and Auburn should both be ranked ahead of Illinois. Multiple times. Segments on this.
That's Chuck. I think you're right. I think they do their own show, which then again is, I guess, what a chat room's for. I understand, Puck. So, yes. Yeah, yesterday we spent a decent amount of time bashing the rankings. Not only thought Auburn shouldn't have been dropped from the top 25, we thought they should have gone up. And that how can you have Illinois at 24 and South Florida unranked? Can we do the resume test, please?
I'm rooting for you, San Diego. I really am. If there's any team that deserves to have a postseason run, Seattle would be right there, but the damn Padres deserve it. The team spent money. The fans have supported it. You lost the damn Chargers. I think it would be great. I mean, me and Fox Sports are really rooting for. I mean, just me.
Yeah, I was going to say San Diego. You're going to play the Cubs in the wild card round.
Left switch. I think Notre Dame deserves to be in the top 25. They've lost to two really good football teams in two games that they could have won. I think Notre Dame should be ranked. I do.
Right.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time on Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Alex Golesh, the South Florida football coach, on the show at 8 a.m. tomorrow. In and around Coach Golesh, Seth Everett, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins. I don't know. Seems decent.
So we're moving Seth up, aren't we?
Seth, I text him. I said, how flexible are you? He said, pretty flexible. I said, I need you to go earlier. And so he goes, okay, who am I getting bumped for? I go, football coach at South Florida. He texts back. He goes, yeah, that's some good producing right there. Good job by you. I said,
Seth,
thanks.
It's an old reference, but you know him well, David. Seth is kind of our Hojo. He's Howard Johnson. We just put him wherever we need him. He's our utility guy this time of year.
Yeah.
We give him a little more appointment listing post-football, but during football, Seth is very accommodating to us when things come up.
Yeah. We every now and then we go, Seth, we got to bump you or move you. He goes, why? Well, because we're getting somebody we don't normally get. Oh, okay. So in other words, better than me. Yes, Seth. And I mean this with great affection. Yes, a better get than you. Okay. All right.
All right. It's usually about this time of the show, and I know tomorrow we start looking ahead more than we look back, but I started glancing at the weekend college football slate. TCU's done nothing but beat the teams that they've played and handle them pretty easily.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Mark, you're right.
They play Arizona State on Friday night. Arizona State had a nice win beating Baylor at Baylor. They did. But they also lost to Mississippi State.
Yep. fell behind early, came back, took a 3-point lead, gave up like a 55-yard touchdown pass in the final minute of the game to lose on the road.
I don't know if you've looked already. TCU at Arizona State. What would you set the line at?
ASU by 4.5.
Really?
Yeah.
It's ASU 2.5. And I think the wrong team's favored.
Okay.
That just every once in a while, these Friday night games catch my eye. And Florida State, a Friday night game this week.
Well, this line interested me because Florida State's what? In the top 10, beat Alabama. Virginia's not very good. What's the spread again?
7.5.
Well, it started at 6.5.
Would have jumped all over it if I would have seen that. That's an early bet that I'll be curious when we have Bud on if he jumped, Bud loves to jump the Sunday line. Bud's very good at trying to see where there are some discrepancies in what he thinks the line should be and what it really is. And I'll be curious if Bud jumped on Florida State at 6.5.
But even then, it's a one-score line. It is a short week and B, road conference game. And I mean, Mark, Florida State's ranked in the top 10 nationally, not in the ACC, nationally. What was the word on Virginia coming into this year? One of the bottom 4 teams in the conference?
Absolutely. And
Stanford,
still
Cal, Stanford, Cal, and Va-Tech in Virginia.
Virginia Tech let one get away against NC State. They should have won that game. They didn't. They've won their others. Coastal Carolina, it's a bad football team. William and Mary, we all know. And then
not holding up her end of the bargain.
Correct. And then Stanford, who we already mentioned, is a bottom 3 team in the conference. They've scored a bunch in every game they've played. And maybe that's why the line is the way that it is.
No, but I mean, that's why, by the way, I'm nervous. It's Florida State's first trip outside of Tally, right? Okay. It's a short week. It's on the road. It's in conference. I'm just telling you, just please, Florida State, please. Miami is off this week. All right. Can you just hold up your end of the deal? Please. Can we just get the Canes and the Knowles? Who cares where it is? This year it just happens to be at Doak Campbell. Can we just get one of you in the top 5 and one of you in the top 10 playing each other? I mean, please, we don't ask for much. You guys haven't done this but like twice in the last 20 years. Could you just give us that, please?
Mentioned it yesterday. Cheapest ticket as of yesterday, I didn't check today, $441. It's going nothing but up as long as the Knowles take care of business Friday at Virginia.
So Kirk Herbstreit's spotter is on the Monday Night Football crew. He's been on the crew for 23 years. All right. His name's Tony. Really good guy. All right. And we're just talking about because he follows Kirk he's with Kirk for Thursday on Amazon. He then goes to wherever they're doing game day, okay, most weeks. All right. And then he, hops on the private plane with him and goes to the game that Kirk is doing at 7:30 at night. And so we're just talking about where they're headed. And he said, yeah, it was a surprise. We all thought we were going to Athens for game day. And the network decides we're going to Penn State this week, which we gave him credit for. Okay. Way to go. I mean, Oregon at Penn State's the best game on the schedule. Okay. Sorry, Alabama, Georgia. It is. And I said to him, I go, have you taken a look at the following week's schedule? He goes, no. I go, yeah, I don't see how you guys are not going to be in Tallahassee. And he's like, oh, really? I go, yeah. I said, your guy and your network, they're very popular there. He starts
very.
laughing. I go,
and by very popular, they're hated in Tallahassee.
Right. And that's what I said. I said, no, I don't think you understand. Okay. He goes, really? I go, yeah. Yeah. I go, don't tell anybody where you're staying, okay? Give little advice there. Don't tell anybody where you're staying.
Put it this way, and I know the Noel out there already understands this, but for the rest of you who may not get it, there's a guy that I'm friends with on social media. I've known him for a lot of years. I paid attention to him more because he tends to post most pictures about his fishing trips, not about sports. In fact, it's always about fishing. Does a lot of great stuff. Fishes with veterans. He's always on the water. I'm available, by the way, if you're paying attention. But all of a sudden, he had a pretty loud post, if you will. And it was all about Kirk Herbstreit and Florida State. And I went, I'll be damned.
Mm-hmm.
And it started because game day was in Miami.
Right.
And he just assumed that they were going to Miami because, in his words, they were going to chicken out of going to Tallahassee.
Right.
And I even commented, I'm like, look at the schedule. I don't see how they can avoid it.
There's only one other game involving teams currently ranked. It's Vanderbilt at Alabama.
I mean, come on.
I'm pretty sure game day's never been at a place in which one of the two teams playing was Vanderbilt.
If they do that, that would be the biggest chicken blank move ever. I mean, just the history of the sport. You can't tell the history of the sport of college football without bringing up the Miami Florida State games. They only help determine who won the Natty for
15 years.
15 years? So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So please, Florida State, can you just go to Virginia and win? I don't care if you cover. Can you just win? So game day can go to Tallahassee. It will be the best signs ever.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, your home for all the football and baseball that September provides, plus a nightly food special. Got bingo and trivia Tuesdays and Thursdays, live music Fridays, karaoke Saturdays. Never mind the fact that Shoeless Joe's is going to celebrate Grandparents' Day, National Hot Dog Day, National Cheeseburger Day, all in the month of September. Food and drink specials during every NFL game. Shoeless Joe's, the official home for Ohio State football. Shoeless Joe's, good food, good times, good sports in the Doubletree by Hilton. Bell Tower Shops, Fort Myers.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Listen, this is the only thing I'm going to say. All right, because I'm not going to watch. I never watch. All right. But if I was Kimmel tonight, after the applause dies down, I would just go, now, where was I? All right. And just boom. Whatever you're going to say after that, I don't even care. I just think, you go, now, where was I?
So
I was saying,
Yeah.
right.
So I always watch the repeat of John Oliver. I don't think the show's as good as it used to be, but I still find there's at least one moment that makes me laugh. He did most of it on that. He's in the middle of it, and he goes, I don't have the same problems because we're on HBO, and that's not part of and then they show the thing about Warner Brothers and HBO, the merger going on, and he's like, F, and he's just slamming his stuff. I was cracking up. That was just that was the one of the 40 minutes that made me laugh out loud.
We don't have that problem. Oh, wait, we're merging? What? Well, yeah, because I think, isn't Paramount trying to buy them?
Yes.
By the way, Rays finished 41-40 at Steinbrenner.
Cracks me up. The guy I was talking about right there, I never mentioned him by name. He was listening, texted me immediately. It's funny because he's reached out when he's been in Huntsville because he travels a lot now. And it's like he's listening on a lot of our affiliates, which is cool. God, I haven't been fishing in so long. Last summer, I guess. Last time I went was on the Keys last summer. The last time I was on a boat. To me, it's not worth the money you have to spend to charter a boat in Southwest Florida because you got to go out so damn far to catch any fish. You spend half the day in the damn boat driving, not fishing.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Vote on our poll questions. One baseball, one football. Alex Golesh, Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins, Seth Everett on the show tomorrow. Now it's time for
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
That was good, David. That was good. You got that out, muted the microphone, and then got the sneeze out. I thought it was going to be brought to you by a sneeze. That was impressive. I mean,
that was painful.
Did you pull anything there?
Try to swallow a sneeze. Damn, I think, like, what's that injury? I think on where the pitchers lately, I got a sore lat. Okay. I'm Scooble, Mark. I got a sore lat. I don't know if I can make my next start.
Don't do that to me starting today. 1845, the first baseball team, the New York Knickerbockers, organizes and adopts a rule book known as the Knickerbocker Rules. Why wouldn't they be? 1875, Billy the Kid is arrested for the first time. He would escape 2 days later. 1926, we mentioned the rematch yesterday. It was the upset of the decade. Tunney beats Dempsey in a 10-round decision at what was then known as Sesquicentennial Stadium, later known as JFK in Philadelphia. 1952, Rocky Marciano knocks out defending champ Jersey Joe Walcott in the 13th round for the heavyweight title. Buddy Holly's That'll Be the Day reaches number 1 today in 1957. That was the good thing that happened in 57. The rest of it, not so good, but historic because a white mob forced 9 black students enrolled at Little Rock Central to withdraw, and President Eisenhower would then order troops to support the integration at Little Rock High. ABC's first color television series, The Jetsons, premiered today in 1962. I will contend till the day I die that Judy Jetson was the hottest cartoon character ever. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid premiered today in 1969. Lennon's single, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, that featured Elton John, reaches number 1. It was the only solo number 1 that Lennon had. Farrah Fawcett out, Cheryl Ladd in today in 1977 on Charlie's Angels. This one's really for you, David. Today in 1978, Anwar Sadat came back from Camp David to 100,000 cheering Egyptians. The cheers apparently didn't last that long.
Lasted about 3 years, and then little military coup, and they took care of Mr. Sadat.
Today in 1980, at the Stanley Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Bob Marley performed his final concert. Steve Carlton becomes the 16th to win 300 today in 1983. Canseco becomes baseball's first 40-40 man, 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases today in 1988. Manon Rhéaume became the first female to play in an NHL exhibition game for the Tampa Bay Lightning. She would allow 2 goals in the first period today in 1992. Shawshank was released today in 1994.
What a toe tapper.
Sure is, but I stop what I'm doing every time it's on and watch right until the end.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah, it's a phenomenal movie.
It is. There's no doubt. But I don't. No.
A show that I never watched that you loved, Modern Family, premiered today in 2009.
Yeah, like the first handful of years, I bolted like around year 5 or so. But yeah, I thought at the beginning, oh no, funny.
Mickey Rooney, jazz legend John Coltrane, Ray Charles, and Marty Schottenheimer would have all celebrated birthdays today. Your guy's 76, Bruce Springsteen, 76. Still doing 3+ hour concerts.
At least 240.
Right. Golfer Larry Mize and football coach Marvin Lewis are both 67. Jason Alexander, Costanza, he's 66. And John Harbaugh is 63. What did I miss, David?
I don't know. I mean, you had Butch Cassidy and the
I
Sundance
did.
Kid, right? I thought I heard you mention that. So, no, you got everything.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
Well, we go to Knoxville, Tennessee for the good, and I'm so damn jealous of this because this weekend, a 5-year-old did something that I've never done. He had an ace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 108-yard hole. Knocked it in for an ace. Dad was filming, and the kid was, pretty humble. Asked how he felt. He said, great. Hole in one at the age of 5. Pretty damn cool. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral, where police and multiple police units, Cape Coral Police, Lee County Police, had to use aerial police to finally apprehend one Donovan Arena. He stole a bunch of cars. He was stealing a car, dumping a car. Picked up another one that he saw the keys in at a 7-Eleven, finally crashed the car doing over 85 miles an hour on Chiquita Boulevard before he ran into a telephone pole. Not only was he stealing cars, he was drunk while doing so. Good life you're going to lead, young man. And finally, the ugly. We go to Thailand, where a 60-year-old Dutchman was arrested on Sunday after stealing an entire ATM from a commercial bank and dragging it through the streets with the pickup. He used a chain hoist to lift the ATM onto the back of the vehicle. Apparently, he was driving against traffic before being stopped. Police seized the ATM, the truck, and the hoisting equipment. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Tuesday, September 23rd, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, it's the final week of the baseball regular season. There were 3 games last night, so there are 6 teams who only have 5 games left. But there are 24 teams who have 6. I do have a bone to pick. Part of the reason, besides the fact that I'm old and a curmudgeon at times, part of the reason why analytics really bother me, listen, I'm not good at a lot of things. I'm good at math. In fact, I'm better than good at math. Here's what bothers me. We have 7 teams for 6 playoff spots in the American League, correct?
Right.
So there's the chance of making the playoffs. How come every single team is 59% or higher?
When one of those teams obviously cannot make the postseason.
Right. I mean, it's a lock that one of these teams is not going to make the playoff. Right. It just drives me nuts. Apparently, the Guardians have the worst chance of making the playoffs, according to these brilliant analytics. Really? They've lost once in 2 weeks. They own the team they're playing for the next 3 nights. Are we sure about this? They own the tiebreaker over the team that they're playing for the next 3 nights.
And they're home for all 6 games.
If they take 2 out of 3 from the Tigers, they're tied with 3 to play, and they own the breaker. Yeah. The Yankees have a 99.9% chance to make the playoffs, but the Red Sox supposedly have a 90% chance. Really? They're a game ahead of both the Guardians and the Astros and tied with Seattle. And have you seen Boston's remaining schedule? It's at Toronto and home for Detroit. Okay. Once again, and I'll somehow use this and also say kick more field goals and punt occasionally. But anyway, baseball tonight. The Rays finish out their season on the road. By the way, they went 41-40 at Steinbrenner. Did we think they were going to do better than that?
Not really.
Okay.
Not with how the schedule was loaded and the big breaks.
Right. So, but
maybe
also
a little better, but.
So 41-40, they won to Steinbrenner. They're in Baltimore tonight to begin a 3-game series. Marlins, who have won 6 in a row. And by the way, I know this is crazy. How about we vote for the Marlins manager for manager of the year in the National League? I know it should probably go to the guy in Milwaukee. You know, they weren't even picked to win the division. They got the best record in baseball. I know, I get it, Murphy. I got it. The Marlins have not been eliminated from the playoffs. It's the final week of the regular season. They were supposed to lose over 100 games. I don't know. I think maybe you should make the ballot. That's all I'm saying. Marlins and Philly. Phillies 2.5 on the Brewers for the best record. Brewers have the tiebreaker, so it's unlikely. All right. The 3 teams in the National League battling for the 1 playoff spot. Reds host the Pirates. Mets taking on the Cubs on the north side. That game's on TBS. Yeah, not the Tigers and the Guardians with Scooble pitching. No, Mets, Cubs on TBS. Dodgers in Arizona taking on the Diamondbacks.
It's a TV show. It's the Cubs and one of the New York teams. I'll even defer to that game.
All right. Brewers are in San Diego. Padres clinched a playoff spot last night. They're trying to chase down the Dodgers. They're also trying to chase down the Cubs. They're 3 in the loss column behind both those teams, trying to improve their seeding. In the AL East, Boston and Toronto. Jays up by 2 over the Yankees, and they own the tiebreaker. Yankees, they got 3 with the White Sox here. They should go WWW, right? I mean, help me out. If the Red Sox go to Toronto, take 2 out of 3. If you're a Yankees fan, don't you think you should be tied Friday? Just saying. Stros are in Sacramento to take on the A's.
And
game
then
back
they
to
get,
Seattle.
I believe, the Angels after that. So
Right.
Houston with an easier schedule of the teams that are fighting for a playoff spot.
Mariners home for Colorado, but then they're home for the Dodgers, by the way, final 3, Saturday night. Tigers, Guardians. Cleveland's lost once in 2 weeks, and Detroit's lost 6 in a row, and they got Scooble on the hill tonight.
Yes, they do, David.
Yep.
Yes, they do.
Kind of feels like an important game.
It really does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll be that guy, David, tonight, listening. I don't have the MLB package. I will be listening to the Tigers on the radio. I mean, the phone, but you know what I mean.
Right. The 4-letter network will have WNBA semifinals tonight. Game 2 of the best of 5. Phoenix and Minneapolis. And Indiana in Vegas. 7:30 and 9:30. If anyone's interested. There you go.
I made it through the whole day, the whole show, without any nerves.
Yep.
In that last segment, now you have me just in panic mode.
That's the beauty of a pennant race, Mark.
The Tigers
feel
today, they're done.
Yep. You got to feel all the feels, all the tension, all the nerves. That's a pennant race. That's why you're a fan. Uh-huh. You don't think I'm feeling it? I'm a Mets fan.
I know
my
you're
team
feeling
on the verge of 2 historic collapses.
You're used to it. I'm not. It's been a while.
I was going to say, I've been predicting this collapse for weeks, and you've been laughing at me. Meanwhile, I've already awarded your team the division title. How are we going to give it back?
In July, for the record. Great show lined up for you tomorrow. Bud Elliott, Chris Perkins, Seth Everett, and South Florida coach Alex Golesh on Miller and Moulton.
Besides the sales experience at the Diamond District, we offer a litany of other services. Appraisals.
We have 2 GIA certified gemologists, full-time, servicing your needs with appraisals.
We buy gold, diamonds, gemstones, Rolex watches. Repairs.
We have 3 full-time master bench jewelers.
A beautiful custom design department so that we can give you one-of-a-kind jewelry. Come see Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
So I asked him at Floormeisters, hey, what do you want me to tell everyone for September? He says, well, tell them I just bought 100 pallets of Core-Tech. So I've got so much of it, I can keep the prices low. Plus, installation's always available. Delivery's always available. And tell them Floormeisters has colors, 15 of them that no one else has. Floormeisters in Naples, next to Costco, whether it's carpet, tile, or Core-Tech. The best flooring, best service, at the best prices. Floormeisters. Floormeisters.com.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.